metaphor for a predator. Been to the Mediterranean, on my papers like an editor. I flow like a reservoir dog, rap Tarantino, off the chain like Django. Still let the chain glow, where they bang no. And niggas get shot like camera angles. In rap videos, put up on Vimeo. I wear the buck 50 bicentennial.
So I want to say shalom to the nation of Israel.
Shalom.
Shalom. I want to say all praise to the Most High and His beloved Son, Hashar, who is our Savior, our leader,
That's right.
and to whom I am forever loyal. I don't want anybody to ever get that twisted. I'm forever loyal to the Most High and His Son, Hashar.
That's
Hold
right.
on, hold on. Let them know, put their phones on vibrate.
Right, so I want all you brothers and sisters, if you have your cell phones, to put your cell phones on vibrate, right? I'm going to try to be quick. I'm not going to be too long-winded. I'm going to give you guys some slides. I'm going to start off with the slides that I already gave when I did this lecture at Sanetta's house. Is anybody, besides the brothers that are in the camp, has anybody else in here seen the presentation I made about King James at Sanetta's house? Even if you're in the camp, raise your hand if you saw the presentation. All right. So about half the room saw the presentation that I gave about King James. Now there is a false rumor, a lie, that's circulating around the earth that King James is a homosexual. And the reason why this rumor is circulating around the earth is because you have certain men that are inspired by the spirit of the devil, by Satan. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to separate our people from the very thing that will liberate us from our conditions of captivity under the so-called white man in America.
That's right.
Because we cannot be spiritually, mentally, or physically free if we're not dealing with the scriptures. Okay? So the reason why people are trying to get us from not dealing with the Bible is because they want to say that King James is a homosexual, and by that, they're able to say that we shouldn't be dealing with the Bible. So we're going to destroy them, all right? So Brother Malak, go to the first slide, please. All right, so the slide says destroying the myth. Go back one slide, brother. The slide says destroying the myth that King James VI of Scotland and the first of England was a homosexual by priest Danyaahla. Now I've done a lot of study and a lot of research on this subject. And my scholarly research on the subject is not the same as something that you'll hear from our brother Shaka Amos. Because our brother Shaka Amos, he did a presentation on Sunday TV, and as I told him to his face, and I'm going to repeat tonight, Shaka did not do enough research. And as you're going to see as we present these slides, our brother did not do enough research. Okay? What he did was he relied on his emotions and how he felt, and not on scholarly research. This presentation will rely on scholarly research. Next slide. Okay, the Bible is a roadmap to our liberation, both physically and spiritually. Without this map, you're going to be lost. So if you're trying to find your way back to the Most High, if you're trying to find a route to liberation from the physical and spiritual captivity that our people are in, and you're trying to do so without the Bible, you can guarantee that you're going to be lost. All right, next slide. Now, somebody asked me last night on the radio, or night before last, why am I doing a presentation on King James? With all the things that's going on in our community amongst so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, why are you doing a presentation on King James not being homosexual? How does that affect black people or so-called Hispanic people in 2015? Well, this is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 66 and 67, as well as Zechariah chapter 11, verse 4 and 5. What you're looking at is all these so-called unarmed black and Hispanic people that have been shot down by the police department. Unarmed black and Hispanics that have been shot down by the police department over the last, let's say, 10 to 15 years. This is what I should be doing a presentation on. Because this is in the Bible. I'm giving you the scriptures. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 66 and 67, as well as Zechariah chapter 11, verse 4 and 5. The Bible already tells us and prophesies that these things are going to happen to our people. But our people have taken that roadmap and those instructions and they've thrown them behind them, because we have black scholars in 2015 that say we shouldn't deal with the Bible. But you can't show me about so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans being shot down by the police in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. You cannot show me blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans being shot down by the police in the pyramid text. But you can find that in the Bible. But if you believe the Bible is the white man's book, if you believe King James is a homosexual, you won't want to deal with the Bible, and you're not going to read about your conditions and how you get out of these conditions in the Bible, because you believe the Bible is a white man's book. Next slide. Prophecies are being fulfilled every day. How many people in this room are familiar with the NDAA? Is everybody familiar with that? If you're not familiar with that, I have it on the screen. In 2012, our illustrious president that everybody was crying for when he was elected, oh, we got a black president, oh, we got a black president. In 2012, Barack Obama passed something called the NDAA, okay? What does the NDAA consist of? Here are some of the final points. It makes it legal to search you without a search warrant. This is what I should be doing a lecture on. It allows for you to be arrested if you commit what the government consists of a belligerent act. It negates your right to trial, meaning you can be put in Guantanamo Bay for an undisclosed amount of time and never see a judge. But it's okay because you got arrested under the NDAA. It allows citizens to be held indefinitely. This is what's going on in the real world. This is what I should be doing a lecture on. Also, on the other side of the screen, you see that Russia and China are making all types of deals. They're coming together. They decided that they're going to stop trading the US dollar. They're going to come together militarily and economically. This is what's going on in the real world. This is what we should be focusing on, because this is the focus of prophecy in the Bible. But if you have people telling you that the Bible is a book that was translated by homosexuals, if you have people telling you that the Bible is a book that was translated by so-called white men, you won't want to deal with the Bible. Because you can't read about the NDAA in the Book of the Dead. Right. You can't read about the NDAA in the pyramid text. But you can read about prophecies prophesied about all this stuff in the Bible. But if you believe the Bible is a white man's book, if you believe the Bible is translated by a homosexual, you will not be interested in reading the prophecies. And the Bible is the only book, not the Quran, not the Book of the Dead. The Bible is the only book that deals with prophecy. And people have a problem with that when we speak about prophecy. But you can't find prophecy in any other book. Next slide. Psalms chapter 2, verse 2. I'm just going to read it, okay? Because this is prophecy right here. I'm going to show you something. Before I get into my presentation, I have to show you, brothers and sisters, something. Psalms chapter 2, verse 2. It says, the kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together. You can see Psalms 82 for the precept. Against the Lord, Yahweh, and against his anointed, which is Israel, saying, next slide, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. Now you notice I have the word their cords highlighted. What are our cords? Our cords are what connects us back to our Heavenly Father. Our cords are what connects us back to the Most High. So what's happening is now that you have people that are set up to teach you that the Bible is a white man's book. The Bible is a book that was translated by homosexuals. King James is a homosexual white man. So what will you do when you think these things? You will take that roadmap that leads you back to the Most High and you will cast it behind you. You will say that it's of no value to you now. You don't need the Bible because why? The Bible has nothing to do with the so-called black man. The Bible is a white man's book. That's what you're being taught by so-called black scholars in this day and time. So instead of me being able to teach about the NDAA, instead of me being able to teach about how China and Russia are coming together and how those prophecies are going to affect us here in America today, instead of me teaching about that, I got to go to the basics. I got to show you that the Bible is your book. I got to teach you that King James was not a so-called homosexual and he was not a so-called white man, so that you'll have the mindset that you can actually deal with the Bible, because the Bible is your book. So I got to go to the basics before we can get to the deep stuff. So just in case anybody's wondering, well, why is this brother teaching about King James not being gay? I got to get you back to your chords. Because the so-called black scholars like Shaka Amos, and I'm going to be dealing with him tonight. Right. Why am I dealing with Shaka Amos? Because Sanetta called me last night. Sanetta called me last night and said, Shaka Amos wants you to sit on the couch, and he wants you to have a debate about whether King James is a homosexual or not. And I told Shaka, check this out. Excuse me, Sanetta, I said, check this out. I said, watch my presentation first. Watch my presentation first. And make sure that Shaka really wants to sit on the couch. Because I'm telling you, Shaka don't know history like y'all think he know history. That's right. Oh, he talks a good game. Oh, he talks a good game. He has a lot of energy. But I'm telling you, he don't know history like he think he know it. And at the debate, when he seen me, he told me, brother, I know you a scholar. That's a fact. I know you a scholar. And I respect you. And I want you and your wife to come to my house. And I want you to sit down, and I want me and you to go over history. Now, why would you want me to do that? This is on camera. This is on camera. So he can't lie and say he didn't say that. This is on camera. Why would you want somebody that don't know history to come sit down at your house with you and your wife and go over history? Because you know damn well that that presentation you gave at Sanetta's was trash. And I'm not disrespecting you as an individual. I'm on record. I'm on record. I'm on record saying that I'm not about disrespecting that man. You will not hear me call that man a homosexual tonight. You will not hear me say that. You hear a lot of Israelites say that, but I'm not going to say that. I'm on record, and I'm dealing with scholarship. That's it. And after I'm done, if y'all see that I'm not dealing with scholarship, tell me. I'm dealing with scholarship. And he don't know what the hell, listen, I'm on camera? He don't know what the hell he's talking about. All right? Let's continue reading. Psalms chapter 2, verse 3 and 4. Let us break their bands asunder and cast their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. That's right. The Lord Yahweh shall have them in derision. These guys are in derision. Because when they see the Israelites coming forward and bringing forth this scholarship and this information like I'm doing, like Brother Hashar is doing, like Brother Nasi is doing, like Brother Divine is doing. These guys are in derision. Now guess what these guys are doing? Now these guys are doing all these videos. Check this out, mark my words. They're trying to divide Israel up. Watch. That's the next thing. Sanetta's trying to have a debate with Israelite against Israelite. Because them guys know that they losing. Next slide. All right. This is a translation continuum of English Bibles. And the reason why I put this in here is because I want you brothers and sisters to see something, right? Look to your left. At the top, it says word for word. Look to your right. It says paraphrase. Where do you see the King James Bible at? You see the King James Bible to the left of your screen, close to word for word. What is this telling you? This is letting you know that the King James Bible, according to scholars, not according to me, is a word-for-word translation. Amongst all the English translations, the King James Bible is a word-for-word translation from the Hebrew, the Latin, and the Greek. Because there's so many people fighting against the King James Bible as though something is wrong with it. But when you check it out, the scholars are telling you, actually, it's a word-for-word translation. That's why it's on the left. It's one of the best translations that you can deal with. But, because a lot of these scholars, again, they hate the Most High, and they hate the Bible, they're telling you, oh, you can't deal with the King James Bible. King James is a homosexual. Don't deal with it. Okay, so let's say he was a homosexual. Let's say that for argument's sake. Let's say that that's true. But when we look at this, even if he was a homosexual, his translation is still good. Right. Does everybody see that? Right. Am I making that up? No. I didn't make this slide up. Go to Google. I got this over Google Images. Type this in. Translation continuum. There's a whole bunch of slides, hundreds of them. And you're going to see every single one agrees that the King James Bible is a word-for-word translation. So if he was a goddamn faggot, if he was marching in the goddamn parade in the village, if he was in Tel Aviv every year in Israel being a homosexual wearing pink, it doesn't matter. Because the translation, which by the way he did not translate, is a word-for-word translation. Let me not get stuck. Go to the next slide. Now, you guys see Mark Twain on the screen, right? They're like, what? Mark Twain was a white man. Why got Mark Twain up there? Well, Mark Twain made a very poignant statement, and I happen to agree with it. And this is what he said. If you call yourself a scholar or historian, just do us one favor, right? Get your facts first. Meaning all the facts. Everything. And then you can distort the facts as you please. If you brothers and sisters watch the presentation that our brother Shaka Amos made, he did not have all his facts. And when he was on Soneta's couch, some of you brothers saw the video, I actually called in. Because he said he presented all the information. So I said, when I heard him say that, I got to chill my spine. I was like, you presented all the information? No, let me call in. And I began to ask Shaka some questions. And then he had to change it up. He said, okay, brother, I didn't present all the information. I just presented all the information that I have. If you only presented all the information that you have no business making a presentation at all.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Because you said you were a scholar.
Right.
And you are teaching our people. So you have no business making a presentation unless you have your facts first. And you brothers and sisters are going to see, through the Spirit of the Most High in Christ, we have our facts first. Let's go. Next slide. Now, Shaka tells the truth about King James' enemies, right? Now, he made a presentation that was over an hour, and I'll say about 25 minutes or 30 minutes long. He made a presentation. Shaka told the truth in his presentation for a total of about 2 seconds. I'm going to show you that. Shaka told you, brothers and sisters, the truth for about 2 seconds. In his presentation, he tells you that really the reason why King James was convicted or spoken about of being a homosexual was because he had a lot of enemies. But he dwelt on that for about 2 seconds. 2 seconds! And then he changed the subject. So your brother right here is going to give you all the information that our brother didn't want to give you. Brother Malak, play the slide, please. Right. Play the slide. You got to go back. And just go down right here and play the slide. It should allow you to play it. If you click on it.
Click on it?
Yeah. Does that allow you to play it?
And the Israelites on the corner want to say, he wasn't gay. Some people said that because they was mad.
Start again. Start again.
Council and pastor. No.
Start, hold on 1 second. Go back to the slide and start again.
It's right here.
Okay, go ahead.
And the evil Israelites on the corner want to say, he wasn't gay. Some people said that because they was mad because he kicked them out of their council and pastor. No, no.
So start the slide again. Start the slide again. Everybody listen real carefully. Real carefully. He's telling the truth for the first 2 seconds. Listen carefully.
And the evil Israelites on the corner want to say, he wasn't gay. Some people said that because they was mad because he kicked them out of their council and pastor. No, no. A secret passage between King James' bedroom and this man's bedroom ain't got nothing to do with somebody else being angry.
That's good enough. Stop
the passage is there.
Stop that. Did everybody hear that? I hope everybody heard that. For 2 seconds, he told the truth. He said, he wasn't gay. Right. The Hebrew Israelites on the corner want to say he wasn't gay. Somebody was just mad at him, and that's why they said that. Well, guess what? That's true history. That's true history. Why did he not present that in his presentation? And I asked him that. And you know what he did? He gave up the ghost. That's Israelite slang for y'all. He gave up the ghost. Meaning that when you give up the ghost, it means you drop dead. You have nothing to say, you just drop dead. That's what he did spiritually. Next slide. Let's just get into it. Now, for the first couple of slides, brothers and sisters, those of y'all that saw it, I'm going to go over the slides that I went over at Soneta TV. So if you've seen this, just bear with me. If you haven't seen this, this is for you. And around slide 17, everybody in the room is going to see something that y'all didn't see before. We're about to go in, all right? This is a primary source. This is called the Basilicon Doron. I'm going to go right through this. This is real quick. Page 46, Basilicon Doron. If you don't know what this is, you can buy this at Barnes and Noble's, less than $20. This is a primary source. Somebody wants to tell you King James is a homosexual. Let's see what he said out of his own mouth about homosexuals. It says, page 46, they quarrel against me, not for any evil or vice in me. In other words, not for anything that I actually did, but because I was king. In other words, people just had a problem with him because he was king. If you know history, you're going to find out the Brits didn't like the Scots, and he was a Scot. That was their problem.
That's right.
Plain and simple, okay? But because I was king, which they thought the highest of evil, and because they were ashamed to profess this quarrel, they were busy to look narrowly in all my actions. And I warrant you, a mote in my eye, yes, a false report was matter enough to work on. Meaning if somebody came and made a false report, all the Brits, they just went along with it. Why? Because he was a Scot. It didn't matter whether it was true or not. They just went along with it. And this is what modern day scholarship is dealing with. But we're not dealing with that if we're dealing with real scholarship. Next slide. This is from the same book, the Basilicon Doron. Again, I'm challenging brothers and sisters. Buy this book. It's in Barnes and Nobles and it's less than $20. So that if somebody tells you King James is homosexual, you could cut them down with the quickness. Page 33. Instructions to be a merciful king. Now, let me explain to you what the Basilicon Doron is. King James was writing instructions to his sons on how they should rule when he dies. That they should be merciful, but with some exceptions. Page 23. But as this severe justice of yours upon all offenses would be but for a time, as I have already said, so is there some horrible crimes that ye are bound in conscience never to forgive.
Right.
Such as witchcraft, willful murder, incest, especially degrees of consanguinity, and sodomy, poisoning, and false coin. So now we have to ask ourselves a question. King James is a homosexual, but he's writing to his sons, telling his sons, if somebody's a homosexual, don't ever forgive them. Did Shaka bring this out in his presentation? No.
Nope.
I wonder why. Next slide. Page 84. Instructions on proper attire. We know attire means how you dress. We see how some of the young brothers are dressing today. Tight jeans, tight shirts. They want to look like women, lots of brothers, right?
That's right.
Well, let's see what King James told his son about that. Did he tell his son to go outside looking like Young Thug? Let's go back. Page 84. But especially, eschew. If you don't know what the word eschew means, it means to avoid. But especially eschew, to be effeminate. So he told his son to be effeminate in your clothes. Meaning, don't go outside dressing like Young Thug.
That's right.
Don't go outside looking like a homosexual.
That's right.
But this is a homosexual telling his son not to look like a homosexual, right? That's the scholarship we're dealing with nowadays. This is what we conveniently leave out of our PowerPoint slides, talking about we show the people all the information. Come on, man. But especially it's true to be effeminate in your clothes and in your perfuming, meaning don't smell like a homosexual. How about that? And your preening or such like, meaning don't dress or smell or carry yourself like a homosexual. This is what he's telling his son. But this is a homosexual telling his son not to be homosexual. Right, next slide. Instructions on proper language. A king should use, page 86. In your language be plain, honest, natural, comely, clean, and short. Eschew, meaning avoid both the extremities as well as not using rustical corrupt lead as book language and pen and inkhorn terms. And least of all, meaning everything I said to you, this is the most important. And least of all, mignard and effeminate terms, meaning don't even talk like a homosexual.
That's right.
This is a primary source I'm not reading to you what an author said about King James. I'm telling you what the man said out of his own mouth. Why didn't Shaka bring this out?
That's right.
And this is something I asked him to his face at the debate. So I ain't saying nothing I ain't already said. Next slide. And you want to sit down on the couch?
Right.
You want to sit down on the couch? All right. Next slide. Names never mentioned by King James's maligners. So if we're going to sit down on the couch, I'm going to say this now. I ain't sitting on the couch if you're not talking about these dudes right here. Let me say that again for the camera. I'm not sitting on the couch if you're not talking about these guys right here. Because if you're not, you ain't dealing with scholarship. Now, names never mentioned by King James's maligners. Peter Heinlein, Sir William Sanderson, Bishop Godfrey Goodman, Anthony A. Wood, and King James himself. Nobody mentions these guys when they want to say that King James is homosexual. Instead, they mention these guys. Instead, we are given names such as Sir Anthony Weldon, Francis Osborne, Sir Edward Peyton, and others who had malice towards the king. And what this does is this creates an unbalanced and biased view of the subject. Because if you're only giving the names in yellow, of course you're going to think he was a homosexual because that's all you're given. But if you read about these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, they said he wasn't a homosexual. And 5, he spoke for himself and he spoke against homosexuality.
Okay. We'll start from the beginning.
His first documented male favorite at the age of 13 was his older relative,
Put the mic to the
Esmond
neck,
Stewart,
Danyaahla.
first Duke of Lennox. This is from Aldrich Robert Witherspoon, right? Gary Robert, or whatever. Gary Robert Witherspoon, all right? Who's Who in Gay and Lesbian History, from Antiquity to World War II, Routledge, page 226 to 227. All right, now, this was his first male favorite, his relative, Esmond Stewart. Now,
Okay, that's enough. Play that one more time. I want everybody to hear that. Play that one more time, please. I
his
apologize.
first documented male favorite at the age of 13 was his older relative, Esmond Stewart, first Duke of Lennox. This is from Aldrich Robert Witherspoon, right? Gary Robert, or whatever. Gary Robert Witherspoon, all right? Who's Who in Gay and Lesbian History, from Antiquity to World War II, Routledge, page 226 to 227. All right, now, this was his first male favorite, his relative, Esmond Stewart.
All right, that's all I need. As long as you brothers and sisters heard that. Shaka said that King James's first favorite was Esmond Stewart. So he insinuated, and I hope everybody in the room understands what the word conjecture means. Does everybody understand what conjecture means? That means that you put your own opinion. You put your own opinion and try to make something into something that's not. Go forward, Mala. Go forward. Shaka said that King James's first male favorite was Esmond Stewart. Now, I'm going to tell you, brothers, something. I said this on the side of the show, and if you were at the debate, you know that this is true. Shaka used the book on the screen as one of his sources. Funny thing was, I have this book. So when I saw Shaka at the debate February 8th, I showed him, I said, you know, I have that actual book that you used. I said, it's too bad you really don't actually have the book yourself. Because if you had the book, you'd have read it like I did, and you'd have known that your resource, or what you said, was garbage. But that's neither here nor there. Let's read what the book actually says. The book is called James I, The Fool as King by Otto J. Scott, concerning Esmond Stewart. We just heard our brother say that Esmond Stewart was one of James's favorites. So Shaka insinuated, or as we say, used conjecture, and tells you, because Esmond Stewart was one of King James's favorites, that means they were lovers. Let's see what this says. Concerning Esmond Stewart, page 98. There are many reasons James was close to Esmond Stewart. Because when Shaka made his presentation, he only gave us one. He said just because they were homosexuals. That's not what the book says. It says many reasons. His social graces was one reason. His contacts with the French government, which brought him gold to James's aid, was the second reason. And the fact that Esmond was captain of the king's bodyguards was a third reason. He goes on to say all this is overshadowed by the fact that James disliked girls. In other words, this particular author is one of the authors that hated King James himself. So even though he was aware of all the real reasons why S.B. Stewart and King James were close, he decides to ignore all this and just give his own opinion that James disliked girls. But that's the author's opinion, that's not a fact. Next slide. Monarchs of Scotland by Stuart Ross. Another history book talking about James' closeness to S.B. Stewart. You go to page 113. This sort of behavior, affection and kisses, were typical of James all his life and has led to being labeled as a homosexual. However, there is no concrete evidence to support the allegation that public petting was followed by intimate relations. This is what a scholar's saying. There's no evidence to prove that King James actually had intimate relations with his cousin. That is conjecture. That's what people say, but they have no evidence. Page 115. James fathered 8 children. Not bad for someone that was supposed to be homosexual. Now, let's just stop for a second. We gotta think. If a man has 8 children, how much sex is he having? Because you don't get your wife pregnant every single time that you have sex with her. Sometimes it takes a long time to get her pregnant. Sometimes it's quick. But if you have 8 children, that means you having a whole lot of sex with a sex that the previous author just said you didn't dislike girls. But you were having all the sex with your wife to have 8 children. Interesting. Page 119. Few kings have been more unjustly maligned. The carpings of xenophobic contemporaries about his physical appearance and personal behavior have been accepted at face value. That's what our brother Shaka did. He just accepted some of his face value and didn't do his research, so I've done it for him. Next slide. The Royal House of Biography of Stuarts, page 134, concerning his wife Anne, James wrote, Anne, the younger princess was gay. And that word gay is new speak. It doesn't mean homosexual, it means happy. In the 1600s, the word gay meant happy, not homosexual. That's what it means today. That's called new speak. And the younger princess was a gay, good-looking girl, barely 16. Now, she was 16 years old when King James first noticed her. So somebody in the Kemetic community might have a problem with that. That's okay. You can have a problem with that. Except when I did research, I found out that the brothers and the kings of Egypt, they were married women when they were 12 years old.
That's right.
All I hear about is GMS.
That's
GMS is marrying young girls. Well, I'm going to tell you what, man, I put a challenge out. Well, how old were the women in Egypt, in ancient Egypt, when they would get married? How old were they?
That's right.
Because the lifespan was what, 33 years old in ancient Egypt? 33 years old. They were marrying women at 12 years old. How dare you?
That's right.
How dare you?
That's right.
Talk about GMS. You got some goddamn nerve, man. Polite know better. He know better. Anyway, she was barely 16, and the more James heard of her, the more resolute he became to marry her. He met Anne and fell in love with the reality that did not disappoint his imagination. So in other words, she looked as good as he heard she looked. Not when he was homosexual. Anyway, their affection, moreover, was no brief transient emotion, but endured as a kindly intimacy, if no more than that, until 7 children were born. So y'all now are seeing that some scholars say they had 8 children, some they say they had 7. I'm going to tell y'all, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going off the top of the head, I think only 3 of his children actually survived to adulthood. The majority of their children died young. All right, next slide. James I by Christopher Durston. Otto J. Scott, endorsed by the National Catholic Reporter, and with Shaka references. I got to stop here. I know I stopped last time, I got to stop here again. Otto J. Scott, who wrote the book about King James, his book was endorsed by the National Catholic Reporter. That should set up warning signs to anybody that's scholarly. Wasn't it the Catholic Church that tried to kill King James like 5 or 6 times?
That's right. Yep.
About 5 or 6 times, right? So they tried to kill him about 5 or 6 times, and then they endorse a book that speaks evil of him. And this is what we do in the black conscious community. We use a scholar like this, who speaks evil of King James, that is endorsed by an organization that tried to kill him 5 times, and we say that we're dealing with scholarship. Otto J. Scott's book, endorsed by the National Catholic Reporter, in which our brother Shaka references, relies heavily on David H. Wilson's book, James the Sixth and the First, and David H. Wilson relies on the testimony of 2 of King James's biggest enemies, Anthony Weldon and Francis Osborne. On page 3, the king's reputation reached a nadir in 1956 with the publication of D.H. Wilson's King James VI and the First. He thoroughly disliked and disapproved of King James. So David H. Wilson, whom Otto J. Scott used as a source, whom Shaka used as a source, David H. Wilson utterly disliked King James. So he had a bias. So when he did his research on King James, he went to people that hated that man and wrote his book based on their testimony. All right? It's only during the last 25 years that historians have belatedly begun to emancipate themselves from Anthony Weldon and present a more balanced picture of King James. Because the scholars have found out this guy right here, Anthony Weldon, was extremely biased. And his testimony is the majority of books that are written about King James being homosexual is based on his testimony. That's a fact. Him and Francis Osborne and Edward Pate. Next slide. Sir Anthony Weldon is the main source of the homosexual allegations against King James. But what do contemporaries, meaning people that lived during Anthony Weldon's time, and historians actually say about him? See, he was good at talking bad about King James, but what do people that lived during his time say about him? Sir Anthony Weldon was a known racist of his time who hated people from Scotland. And remember, King James was the King James the 6th of Scotland and the 1st of England. So he hated King James because he was a Scot. All right? Anthony Weldon wrote a book full of racist insults towards Scotland called The Court and Character of King James. It was a diatribe against Scots. And this is the guy upon whom modern scholars base their scholarship on. Next slide. 1650, a curious date. The book, The Court and Character of King James, was published in the year 1650. 1 year after King James's son, Charles I, was tried and executed in 1649. In other words, when the first, mark my words, the first allegations of King James being homosexual came out, it didn't come out when King James was alive. It didn't come out when King James's son was alive. What Anthony Weldon did was, he waited until King James was dead, he waited until his son was dead, and then he wrote a book saying that they were homosexuals. Oh, by the way, I know King James is dead. By the way, I know his son is dead, but actually they were gay. Right? Animosity against the monarchy was in a fever pitch. There was great disillusionment with the monarchical form of government, to the point of murdering the lawful king. Next slide. By his contemporaries, by Robert Ashton. Again, I must tell you, brothers and sisters, the word contemporaries means people that were alive during this time. Right? Page 20. Entertaining though they may be, the treatises, meaning the books of writers such as Sir Anthony Weldon and Francis Osborne, are characterized chiefly by the author's spiteful, indiscriminate animus against the king. They are represented here not because of their value as accurate accounts, which is negligible. So now we have to stop. The book that David H. Wilson wrote was based on the testimony of Anthony Weldon. The book that Otto J. Scott wrote was based on the book that was written by D.H. Wilson. So again, you have Anthony Weldon, then you have D.H. Wilson, then you have Otto J. Scott, and then you have Shaka Amos. So he followed a line of people from this guy, who scholars are telling you don't believe a damn thing that he's saying. This is the fact, and I'm giving you the sources. Next slide.
That's right. Egypt only used white sources when they
The Egyptians only used white sources. Now, I'm going to tell you something too, right? I'm going to make a statement. It ain't going to come out tonight. When I prove that King James is a black man, I'm not just going to use white sources. That's a fact. Now, Great Britain, Solomon, King James the 6th and the 1st in his 3 Kingdoms by Maurice Lee Jr., page 309, all the way to page 910. This is what this author said. Historians can and should ignore. Historians can and should ignore the venomous character of the king's person and behavior drawn by Anthony Weldon. Meaning, if you're reading a book, that when you trace that book back, the scholarship goes back to Anthony Weldon, this guy's saying ignore it. And I'm telling you, the scholarship that Shaka used, that's where it came from. Next slide. James the First by Christopher Durston, page 2. I'm trying to get through the ones I did at Sonetto. I'm almost done, and y'all gonna see some new stuff. All right? Page 2. This poisonous piece of literature, literary revenge, was to do profound and lasting damage to James's reputation, as it became the prime source for many subsequent historical assessments whose authors failed to make sufficient allowances for its obvious bias. That's what this author is saying. Most modern-day scholars have failed to make sufficient allowances, meaning to admit that most of the authors that wrote these books about King James being homosexual, they were biased because they come from sources that were biased. Why was Anthony Weldon biased? Anthony Weldon was biased because when he wrote that book, The Court and Character of King James, his behind got kicked out of court. Why was Francis Osborne biased? Because Francis Osborne behind was kicked out of court. So these men all had a bias against the king, and that's why they wrote that. But the authors I showed you in the beginning, nobody uses those, except me. Next slide. More contemporaries and historians speak. Now we're going to get specific. Peter Heinlein, again, this is one of the guys I told you that Shaka refuses to use. In his book, Examen Historicum, he dismisses Anthony Weldon's work as infamous libel. Didn't see that in Shaka's presentation. Next, and it says, point number 2, the Dictionary of National Biography characterizes Weldon's book as a collection of slanderous gossip about the 2 kings. When it says 2 kings, it's talking about King James and his son Charles I. Slanderous gossip about 2 kings and their ministers and their favorites. Sir William Sanderson refuted Weldon in his Olicus Conquerere and his complete history of the lives and reigns of Mary Queen of Scots and her son James I. Bishop Godfrey Goodman stated, "I have never read a more malicious-minded author, nor any has such poor and mean observations." How come nobody speaks about this? These guys are saying that all those accusations are lies. You'll never see this in these presentations. Never. See? Next slide. Sir Edward Peyton, another enemy of King James. Okay? Let's see. Okay, Sir Edward Peyton is another one that spoke about King James being homosexual. Another guy that got kicked out of court. It says Sir Edward Peyton was recommended for removal from court by George Villiers in 1627. Now, if you've been following, and maybe you might not follow tonight, but you'll go home and you'll research what I'm saying. George Villiers is another guy that our brother Shaka almost said that King James was lovers with. Well, here's the real history. I'm giving it to you now. Please research this. Sir Edward Peyton was recommended for removal from court by George Villiers in 1627. After this disgrace, meaning after he was recommended for removal, Peyton was an enemy of Villiers and the whole court. In other words, after he got kicked out, he got mad. He sided with Parliament in the English Civil War against Charles I, which is King James's son. In the year 1652, he wrote The Divine Catastrophe of the Stuarts. This work was denounced by Sir Anthony Wood in Athenae Oxenesis as a most despicable and libelous work full of lies, mistakes, and nonsense. This work was reprinted in 1752 by William Boyders Jr. and Charles Davis, which were taken into custody by the House of Commons on the charges of publishing seditious liable. In other words, they looked at this guy's work and they said, this dude is a damn liar. He's only mad because he got kicked out of court. Next slide. Bishop Godfrey Goodman, another contemporary of King James. Court of James I, Volume 1, page 243. Most of the caricatures were inventions of the Jesuits. Does that ring a bell to anybody in the room? Most of the caricatures of King James were inventions of the Jesuits. Who were the Jesuits? The Catholics. Who were the Catholics? They're the people that tried to kill this man more than once. Anybody heard of the gunpowder conspiracy? Who was behind that? The Jesuits. So not only were they physically trying to kill him, they was also trying to kill his image or his reputation. That's what this is all about. Most of the caricatures were inventions of the Jesuits. The Jesuits made an attempt on his life during the gunpowder plot. Okay? Who omitted no occasion of heaping the force of their malice upon the king. Next slide. Jesus had his John, and I have my George. So this is another reference that we're using by our brother Shaka. So now I want you brothers and sisters to pay attention to this, right? Our brother Shaka is going to make a statement. I'm going to tell you what it is, and you're going to listen to it for yourself. He's going to tell you that King James was a homosexual because he made a reference to saying that Jesus was close to John, like I'm close to George. That means that Jesus and John were homosexuals, and King James and George Villas were homosexuals. I'm going to show you, number one, he didn't read you the whole quote. He only read you half of it. I wonder why. And number two, he took the quote out of context. Let's play the slide, brother.
Compared his love for the Earl, here he goes. James compared his love for the Earl to Jesus' affection for the beloved disciple John, the one who Jesus lied down with. Remember? Right? Jesus Christ, this is what James said. Jesus Christ did the same, the king said, and therefore I cannot be blamed. Christ had his John, I have my George. That's what King James said. That is a quote. Okay? With such pronouncement, King James seemed to have reached a new level of outrage, especially when he compounded his offense in the view. And this quote, by the way, is a very famous quote made by King James. This is not some secret. Everybody knows he said this. Okay? That's something that's common knowledge. Alright?
Now, y'all heard that, right? Y'all heard that, right? Now I'm going to put the quote up on the screen. Let's see if he quoted the whole thing. This is the trickery that these guys use, and this is why I say that they are not dealing with scholarship. And this brother wants to sit down on the couch and talk. And you being deceptive as hell. Next slide, brother. Jesus had his John, and I have my George. Now, here's the whole quote. We're about to read it. How much of this did Shaka actually quote in that video? The following is one of the most quoted statements made by King James. It is usually partially quoted, and it is always taken out of context. Here it is. You may be sure that I love the Earl of Buckingham, George Villiers, more than anyone else, and more than you who are here assembled, talking about Parliament. I wish to speak in my own behalf, and not thought to have it be as a defect. Let's stop. How much of that did Shaka say to y'all? None of it. Okay. For Jesus Christ did the same, and therefore I have it, and therefore I cannot be blamed. Christ had his John, and I have my George. Now look at the asterisk at the bottom. After James's death, a civil war broke out between his son Charles I and Parliament. Charles I was eventually beheaded. So now I'm going to give you brothers some history before I go to the next slide. The reason why King James is making this statement at Parliament is because the monarchy was at odds with Parliament during this time. Now it didn't reach its ultimate end until King James's son Charles I was eventually beheaded. But the point I'm trying to make is that there was a war between the monarchy and the Parliament. The Parliament did not like the monarchy because the monarchy was from Scotland. They didn't like that. They hated the Scots. So because of that, there was always animosity between the monarchy and the Parliament. That's what was going on. George Villiers was the only person that was of British descent that was actually a part of King James's Privy Council. So the Parliament had a problem with that. That's why he's making a statement that he loves the Earl of Buckingham more than anyone else that was assembled, which was Parliament, because everybody in Parliament was British. And nobody in Britain was actually on the King's Privy Council except George Villiers. And he was letting them know, I trust this man, I don't trust you Negroes. And it makes sense. Why? Because Parliament is the same ones that killed his son. They beheaded his son. This is history. Now ask Shaka if he knows about that. Next slide. That statement of King James actually vindicates him and George Villiers of being homosexuals. I'm going to show you how. Here's the statement again. You may be sure that I love the Earl of Buckingham, George Villiers, more than anyone else, and more than you who are here assembled, Parliament. I wish to speak in my own behalf and not thought to have it be a defect. For Jesus Christ did the same, and therefore I cannot be blamed. Christ had his John, and I have my George. Here's the answer. James declared that he did not think his association should be thought of as a defect, his association with George Villiers. He compared his relationship to Jesus and the beloved disciple John, who were not gay. But Jesus had a special closeness to John above the other 11. Is there any credible historian, credible, not idiots, that is saying that King James declared to all of Parliament in all of England that Jesus and John were gay? Right. That's not what he meant in that statement. Okay? So if that had been the context of the above quote, James would have been removed from the church and removed from the throne and he said that. So he wasn't declaring Jesus and John being gay, nor was he declaring that he and George Villiers were gay, but he was telling them that I'm close to him and I don't give a damn about y'all. That is history. Whether you believe it, accept it or not. It's history. You just got to do some studying. Next slide. Right. Robert Carr. You can skip this. Conspiracies and plots against King James's life. Now we're getting somewhere, right? Now, I want to show you, brothers and sisters, this because there's something that is being said that King James is homosexual because he had his favorites. He had certain people he was close to. But you can't talk about that unless you talk about this. These are all, and I shouldn't say all, but these are some of the main historical conspiracies against King James's life. It will explain certain things that I'm going to go into subsequent to the slides. So let's go over it. Conspiracies and plots against King James's life. King James was seized at Morton in 1579. The word seized means he was kidnapped as king in 1579. That's one plot against his life. Then you have the Gallery conspiracy of 1600. That's two plots against his life. Then you have the Catholic Bi conspiracy of 1603. That's three plots against his life. Then you have the Catholic main plot of 1603. That's four plots against his life. Then you have the one we all know about, the Gunpowder Plot of 1605. That's five plots against his life. The raids on Bothwell, there's an S there, that means there's more than one. The raid of Ruthven, where James was kidnapped again. Then you have two of his regents that were murdered, the Earl of Moray in 1570 and the Earl of Lennox in 1571. What are we drawing from this? That all throughout his reign, somebody was always trying to kill him. That's important. Next slide. King James's documented fear of assassination. From the book Stewards of England, page 53. He was said to have piled furniture against his door of his apartment. Y'all know why? Because of what we just read. Somebody was always trying to kill him. Right. Another book, Lords and Men in Scotland, Bonds of Man Rent. 1442 to 1603. Man rent means that he hired certain guys for protection. Page 115. A month after James's escape from Ruthven, which is one of the plots against his life, raiders, his council, his privy council, passed drastic restrictions on those who should repair to His Majesty's presence, or within 6 miles to a place of his residence, they should be unarmed. So he got paranoid. you want to come see me, they're going to see you 6 miles out, and they're going to make sure you're unarmed. Okay? And he accompanied by 15 horsemen for Earl or Bishop. So if you were Earl or Bishop, they met you 6 miles out, and you had to be accompanied by 15 horsemen after they checked you to make sure you was unarmed. 10 for a Lord, Abbot, or Prior, and 6 for a Baron, Knight, or Landsman. So this dude was very paranoid of being killed because there were so many attempts on his life. It's going to explain why he had so many people around him all the goddamn time, mostly men. Next slide.
What?
Kings as far back as Solomon always had men in their bedchamber and about their beds. Songs of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 7. This is nothing new. And I'll go into this in another presentation I'm going to make in the future. When you read about King James, his maternal line goes back to the line of David and Solomon. That is a fact. So he knew he was of the family and line of King David. So what they were doing is what he was doing. Songs of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 7. Behold, his bed, which is Solomon's, 80 valiant men are about it, of the valiant of Israel. Does everybody know what 80 means? Solomon has 60 men in his bedchamber at all times around him.
That's deep.
So if he was doing this, how are we then going to say another king that was doing this later on in history was homosexual because he had so many men around him? When this dude was doing it, how many wives did Solomon have? Solomon has 700 wives and 300 concubines. Who wants to stand up and say that he was a homosexual because he had, but he also had 60 men. 60 men in his bedroom. So we're going to say he's homosexual too? That ain't scholarship, that is garbage, man.
That's right.
This is a Russian icon of King Solomon, both of these. And you can see clearly that these icons are black. King Solomon has dark skin with woolly hair. I'm going to go on, you know, like me, I like to be controversial. I'm going to go on record and say that black people rule Scotland, black people rule Russia. I can prove it. Black people rule Russia, and I can prove it. And this is proof of that right here. King Solomon, both times, woolly hair, dark skin. That's a fact. If you want to challenge me on that, I already posted it on my Facebook page today, and I'll be glad to show you. Next slide. All right, now we're getting somewhere. Pay attention. I'm almost done. I'm almost to the end. The men that slept in King James's bed, this is how the bed looked. Because you're going to hear some scholars that tell you, King James had men sleeping in his bed with him. Yeah, he did. Yes, he did. Right? The beds were called pallets. Those men were there to guard his life. Does everybody see how the bed looked? It wasn't in this bed together, but they were in bed together. One here and one there. This dude right here, if you come in the room, he's going to kill you before you get to the king. I hope everybody see that. That's right. The beds were called pallets, but somebody might say, you made that up. You made that up. Next slide. Next slide. The English court, from the War of the Roses to the Civil War by D. Starkey, page 87, we only deal with references and scholarship.
That's right.
That's all we do, okay? The grooms of the stool and gentlemen commonly slept on a pallet bed in the withdrawing chamber. So when you read historical references that say that King James had men in his bed with him, that's how it looked. They weren't in the bed with him, but they were in the bed in case somebody came to kill him. Why? Y'all just saw all the attempts on his life. So was he bugged out to have men sleeping in the bed with him? Guess what? If that many people came to kill me, I would have did the same goddamn thing. I would have did the same thing. I would have had a man sleeping on a pallet right next to me too, man, if I had that many attempts on my life.
That's right.
If you hear about King James having a secret chamber between his room and George Villa's room, you know why? Because people were trying to kill him. That's why. Why don't these scholars bring this information out? Okay, let's read this again. The grooms of the stool and gentlemen commonly slept on the pallet bed in the withdrawing chamber, both in one bed, but not both in one bed, but this is one bed. All right? As in Scotland, the ordinances specify, this is the law, that 2 in 1 bed should not be conceded. Meaning 1 here and 1 there, and that's it. No homo shit. Sorry, excuse my language and my cursing, brothers and sisters. I'm just keeping it real. That's real. Next slide. Here's the real reason why people speak against King James's Privy Council. Because you always hear people say, oh yeah, this Privy Council, and all the men in this Privy Council, he was sleeping with them. No, that's not why. Here's why. Names to be familiar with: Sir Charles Pickett, Sir John Huskiness, Sir John Holes, a former member of King James's Privy Council, worded it like this: the Scottish monopolized his princely person, standing like mountains betwixt the beams of his grace and us. We beseech his majesty that his bedchamber, which you always hear about, the king's bedchamber, may be shared as well to those of our nation, England, as to them Scots. Does everybody see that? Let me explain this. When you hear about King James's Privy Council, when you hear about him having men in his bedchamber, the people that had a problem with that were these guys: Sir Charles Pickett, John Huskiness, Sir John Holes. Who are these guys? These guys are Brits. And what they were saying was, he does not share his bedchamber with their Brits the way he does with the Scots. We don't have the same access to the king as the Scots do. So since we don't have the same access to the king, you know what we're going to start doing? We're going to start talking SHIT. That's what they did. This is scholarship. You can look this up yourself. Oftentimes, the debate surrounding this issue, denigrated into diatribes like Anthony Weldon, like Francis Osborne, like Edward Payton, are largely the basis behind the slurs hurled at King James by many English people. Is that clear to everybody? Is there another slide? I'm not sure where it is. One more, go ahead. So let's start again. We start where we left off. Okay? This is the very first slide I showed you, the very first slides I showed you. Now that you saw all this makes a little more sense. Going back to the primary source, the instruction that King James wrote to his sons. They quarrel against me, not for any evil or vice in me, but because I was king, which they thought the highest of evil, because they were ashamed to profess this quarrel. They were busy to look narrowly in all my actions, and I warrant you that a mote in my eye, yes, a false report, was matter enough to work on. In other words, whatever somebody said, his enemies, that was good enough. They didn't need no proof. They didn't need no evidence. It was good enough. This dude was a Scot, and he's king. We're gonna go with that. All right? Does anybody have any questions about the presentation? Yes, Elder Kamal.
Yes, great presentation. 2 questions. I noticed that King James, you know, his life was trying to be taken a lot. I mean, what was the outside of the king writing him trying to translate the Bible? Was there another reason why they had a beef with him?
Right. The main reason why they had a beef with him because he was a Scot. Like I said, when you read about Francis Osborne, you read about Edward Payton, and most importantly, Anthony Weldon, all 3 of them wrote stuff against him simply because he was a Scot. But I'm so glad, and I appreciate your question, because that's something I did not mention. I'm glad you said that. Another reason was because he had the Bible translated. So I want to put this on record and on video, that when you read about a man by the name of Casiodoro de Reina, okay? Casiodoro de Reina is the man that translated the Bible into Spanish. And I find it ironic that the same charges of homosexuality that was leveled against King James were also leveled against Casiodoro de Reina. So that's either a coincidence or it's a pattern. I say it's a pattern.
Hold on, real quick. You finish your presentation? You finished? All right, we will open it up for you for 15 minutes, question and answer. It's 5.
Well,
it's 9:57 now, so we're going to have it.
Well, I'm gonna do it for brothers and sisters like this, right? Since this is being recorded, you know what I'm saying, by my camp and by the brother, I'm gonna do it to you brothers and sisters like this. We can open the floor for 15 minutes, so brothers and sisters can ask questions, or I could go briefly into another PowerPoint, because you know, I hear some stuff on Facebook, you know what I'm saying? I can go briefly into another PowerPoint and show you that black people, I'm just gonna give you the introduction, that black people indeed ruled England. How many people here know that black people ruled England? How many of y'all know that for a fact? Well, this is a good crowd. Anybody here don't know that? Y'all think I'm bugging out? These guys trying to make everybody black. They're trying to make everybody black.
So what you want? Question? Come on.
It's up to brothers and sisters. I want to ask questions or what y'all want to go. PowerPoint?
Alright, you could do it in 15 minutes.
I said, I'm not going through all of it, baby. I'm just going to go through some of it. I'm gonna show that we deal with scholarship, man. Do that. Close that for me real quick.
That's right.
Man, I've been getting on my brother Shock a lot tonight. Well, a lot lately. I hate to tell y'all, I got another Shock and slide in here too. Sorry to tell y'all that, but it is in here. And trust me when I tell you, everything I said now, I said to his face. And it's recorded. You know what I'm saying? If I'm saying something wrong, I want to show me what's going on. Was King James the 6th and the 1st a black man? We have 2 images on the screen. The screen image on the left shows him as a dark-skinned man with woolly hair in his old age. And the image on the right shows him as a so-called white man. So there's a debate. Was he a black man or a white man? Now, I'm not going to be able to get to the point of whether he's a black man or a white man today, all of it, because I have to let my brother Hashar come up. What I am going to do, I'm going to prove that black people ruled England early. Because I hear a lot of people on Facebook talking, and I know that they're not dealing with scholarship. I know that for a fact. Some brothers have the audacity to say that One West camps don't deal with history. So I'm here to prove that a goddamn lie. I'm here personally to prove that as a goddamn lie. Next slide. This is another statement. I like to deal with historical quotes. It's another devil. This guy's a devil. Y'all know that. Napoleon Bonaparte. But he made a great statement, and I'm with it, so I put it in here. He said, history is a set of lies agreed upon. So the historians get together, and they agree upon a lie, and they put it in history books, and everybody regurgitates it. They say Christopher Columbus discovered America. They say George Washington never told a lie. All that garbage, right? Those are lies. We know that. Next slide. Now, this is our esteemed Prime Minister of England during World War II, Winston Churchill. He was British Prime Minister from 1940 to 1945. He was re-elected in 1951 to 1955. Why do you have him in this slide presentation, Brother Danyaahla? Well, because our brother Shaka Amos, he mentioned Winston Churchill. He even admitted that Winston Churchill admitted that King James was black. Next slide. Let's hear our brother speak.
June 19, 1566, 27 March 1625. There he is. Now, I use this picture because the Hebrew Israelites like to say he was black.
Yes,
now I'm going to tell you, I have no problem with that because truthfully speaking, if you read Winston Churchill, Winston Churchill said one of the reasons that he himself personally did not like King James, or that King James wasn't liked, is because he was dark of skin. To mention a whole bunch of other obnoxious things about him, but to insult him, he said, and he was dark of skin. He was dark skinned. That was the exact words he used. Winston Churchill said that. So I have no problem. If a British dignitary is saying, hey, you know, King James is dark skinned, cool. But what you gotta remember, dark skin don't mean black. There's all kind of dark skinned people in this world that ain't black. Right? So
The chemist shuffle? That's the chemist shuffle, y'all. We call that the goddamn chemist shuffle. Brother Joel, let me know how much time I got. I don't want to go to myself. Let brother Hashar come here. Yeah, I'm going to do this again, y'all. I'm going to do this again, I promise. So, if I don't get through it, don't worry. Nah, but I want the brother to go, man.
Yeah, you got 15 minutes.
Go. All right, no doubt. King. Next slide. Morgan Freeman says that, hey, Shaka's right, King James was dark skin. You damn right, bro. You goddamn right. Next slide.
That's right.
Next slide. Okay, now, let's get down into it, right? These brothers, I have a lot of respect for them, right? Red pill, blue pill, black pill. The brothers had us on their show the other day. But the brother wrote in a comment on Facebook when I did my initial interview for the February 8th debate. He left this comment on the video. So I'm going to use his comment as an anchor for my PowerPoint presentation. And I'm going to take it line by line and show him he don't know what he's talking about. So let's read what he said. Don't you think that if King James was black, like the Prince of Wales, there would be primary evidence of him being called Moor or Negro or Swarthy? In other words, he limited it only to 3 connotations: Moor, Negro, or Swarthy. I'm going to tell y'all something. There are hundreds of other names that point to people being black besides Moor, Negro, or Swarthy. During the time of King James Bible, the 17th and 18th century Europe was involved in the transatlantic slave trade. And that is true. If one of the major kings was the same race as the majority of the captives from Africa, don't you think that some writer would have said something? I'm not saying that certain countries in Britain didn't have black people in them, so we were in there, but we weren't ruling at that time. But to say King James was black, man, is a stretch. Next slide. Okay, this is from the Encyclopedia Britannica. Okay, now we're going to get into it. And the search that I did was called surnames. And what I did is I took a screenshot so y'all can see, so y'all can say I'm not making this up. Let's deal with surnames. Surnames will tell you a lot about the ethnicity of the people that were in England. It tells you a lot, right? Surname, also called the family name or last name. Name added to a given name. In many cases, inherited and held in common by members of a family. Originally, many surnames identified a person by his connection with another person. So pay attention, this is very important. I know it's a little wordy, but it's very important. Originally, many surnames identified a person by his connection with another person, usually his father. For instance, Johnson or MacDonald. Now I'm going to explain this to you. When you see a name Johnson, that means the son of John. That's a surname. When you see the name MacDonald, like y'all go to McDonald's, the word MacDonald, the word Mac means son of. Like how we say in Israel, Bun or Ben Israel or Bun Israel. That's right. You see MacDonald, that means son of Donald. Those are surnames. Let's go. Others gave his residence, Orleans, York, Atwood, i.e. living at the woods. In other words, you might see somebody with a surname, their last name is Orleans. That's telling you where they live. That's why they had their last name. Somebody tell you their last name is York. That's telling you where they live. Somebody's last name is Atwood. That's telling you they live in the woods. That's what we was doing back then. Watch this. Or occupation. Somebody's last name is Weaver. That's what they do. Hooper, Taylor. That's what they do. A surname could also be descriptive of a person's appearance. Little, red, or his exploits. Armstrong. We want to focus on this right here. Could be descriptive of a person's appearance. Right. Next slide. Here we go. Common examples of surnames in history. Maybe some of y'all know this, maybe you don't. Let's start at the left. You hear the word British? The word British is a surname of the people that were living in that land. The word British means man of the covenant. I'll break it down for you. Brit, covenant. Ish, man. For those of us that speak Lashon Kodash, Ish is pronounced Ayash. So man of the covenant. So when the people call themselves British, they will call themselves men of the covenant. Who had the covenant? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So the people that would call themselves British, they knew who they were. That was a surname. They named themselves that because they knew that they were descendants of the people the Lord made the covenant with. The surname British means man of the covenant. The Most High made a covenant with the Israelites. Read Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 1 through 3. The term British shows the relationship between the people who lived in the British Isles and the people the Most High made his covenant with, which is Israel, Anglo-Saxons. Because the average black man will tell you, when somebody says, I'm Anglo, that means they're white. No, it does not. The word Anglo-Saxon or Anglo-Saxons, that means angelic. And the word Saxons means sons of Isaac. Who was the angelic sons of Isaac? Isaac had two sons. He had Jacob and he had Esau. Jacob and Esau. So when you see the word Anglo-Saxon, the Anglo-Saxons were identifying with the angelic son, which is the chosen son, which is Jacob. So they were telling you that they were descendants of Jacob. This is historical facts. So we didn't play no games. The surname Anglo-Saxon means angelic sons of Isaac. The angelic sons of Isaac was Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. The covenant was passed down from Isaac to Jacob. The term Anglo-Saxon shows the relationship between the people who lived in the British Isles and the people of the Bible. What am I showing you? I'm showing you that the early inhabitants of the British Isles were Israelites. That's a fact. Let's keep going. Jacobus. All right? This is a name that King James and his family went by. They went by the name Jacobus. I give you the source at the bottom. You go to the Oxford Dictionary and look up Jacobian. When the Stuarts ruled in England, that period of history is known as the Jacobean era. Why would they name it that if them dudes was white boys? They were Israelites. That's a fact. Right. The surname Jacobus is a Hellenized way of saying Jacob. The Jacobean era coincided with the reign of King James VI and I. The name James, which originates in the Middle English, can be traced etymologically back to the biblical patriarch Jacob. The kings of Scotland and England knew they were direct descendants of the biblical Israelites, particularly King David. Next slide. Like I said, brothers, please give me a time check. I don't want to go over, all right? This is a book called Origin of the Anglo-Saxon Race. So I just went over what the word Anglo-Saxon means. Anglo-Saxon means angelic sons of Isaac. The Anglo-Saxons knew they were descendants of Israelites. But somebody at home is probably saying, this dude is out of his mind. He's trying to make everybody black. Everybody black. That's what the Israelites do. They stand on the corners, they scream at the top of their lungs, and they try to make everybody black. That's what they do. Well, check this out, right? The book is called The Origin of the Anglo-Saxon Race. Anybody want to take a guess when this book was written? This book was written in 1906.
Oh, damn.
By a white man that was doing research on the Anglo-Saxons because he thought he was an Anglo-Saxon. But when he wrote his book, this is what he found out. This is from a title of the book called Our Darker Forefathers. Page 107. This consideration of the probable origin of a great portion of brunettes in two of the South mainland countries of England leads us to that of color names and place names. Does that sound familiar? I showed you, brothers and sisters, before when I showed you the slide about surnames. But one of the surnames that we read about on that other slide told you one of the surnames was based on appearance. Now this author tells you that there were certain people amongst the Anglo-Saxon that had color names, meaning their last name was based upon their color. That's a fact. Color names and place names, which may probably have been derived from their original settlers. For example, there is the common name Brown. This has been derived from the Anglo-Saxons, the people that descended from the Israelites. This name has been derived from the Anglo-Saxons Brun, signifying browns. It is not reasonable to doubt that when our forefathers called a man Brun or Brown, they calls him this name as a description.
Right.
So originally, when you find somebody whose last name is Brown, originally you know why their last name is Brown? Because they was brown. Guess what? These are who? These are who? These are who? Who these are who? But the white man tells you the Anglo-Saxons are white. A lot of these guys in the so-called black conscious community will tell you the Anglo-Saxons are white. But the white man in 1906 said, God, I found these guys are actually black. They're actually black. Next slide.
I'm brown.
Page 111. We ain't there. We're just getting started. Watch this. Watch this. If y'all like that, this is good. Our darker forefathers. By the way, what does this have to do with King James being black? I'm starting early in England. I ain't get to that yet. I'm starting early in England. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Well, maybe not today. But I'm showing y'all, if y'all think I ain't got scholarship, you mistaken. Page 111. The consideration of the evidence that people of the brunette complexions were amongst the Anglo-Saxon settlers in England leads us to that of a still darker hue. Stop. So the page before said the word brown alludes to the word brown, which means that these were brown people. Now the author said, wait a minute. Brunette complexions were among the Anglo-Saxons in England leads us to that of a still darker hue. So if the Browns were dark, he said, damn, I done found some people that's even darker than them amongst the Anglo-Saxons. Probably these must have been some of these amongst the Anglo-Saxons. More Anglo-Saxons, watch this. For we meet personal names or surnames as black men, blacker men, black Sunu, Blackaya, Blashmen in various documents of the period. So in other words, these people were darker than the people whose last name was Brown. These are Anglo-Saxons. By a white man in 1906. Now we have also blind scholarship that tells you when a white man says, I'm Anglo. You have black scholars that say, yeah, you are. That's European history. European history is our history, man.
That's right. Brother Danyaahla. Time.
Sorry. Let me just do the slide. Let me be fair. Let me do the slide. And I promise you, brothers and sisters, y'all ain't seen that yet, man. This is a book called The Oxford Illustrated History of British Monarchy. A lot of your brothers and sisters are probably familiar with it. This is Negro repellent on the front of the book. This is to keep you away from the book. There's so much information in this book, it's ridiculous. But it's to keep you away. When you open the book and you find the greatest of all the Anglo-Saxon kings, you find Athelstan. This is St. Cuthbert, a black man, black face, black hands, black feet, and they tried to whiten it up, but they didn't do a good job. You find Athelstan, black face, black feet, but they made his hair red because they would throw a so-called simple Negro off, man. But we know the truth, man. The Bible says what? St. John 17:17, man. The truth. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with the truth, man. And this is what this is. So with that, I'm going to sit my behind down so my brother Hashar can come up here and bring that fire. This is the beginning. Right, this is the beginning of many more presentations, and be the Most High's will, that myself and his brothers are going to do. And all we about is teaching truth. That's it. That's right. Very simple, man. So with that, I'm going to sit down. And Hashar, if you want to come up, man, you know.
Right? Let's bring up Brother Hashar.
Man. Let's go. I'm gonna be gone because ain't no chemistry. I'm gonna be nice and quiet. You know, Gabar, Anya Shop, and you too, Danyaahla. Come up here. Man. You know, some brothers, just call the brothers up here. You know what I'm saying? You know, just call them up here just to be in the spirit. You know, because the Most High is doing great and wonderful things you know, by bringing Israel together, you know, by all means and different means, you know what I'm saying? So we all come from different camps and different walks. And it's just going to show you that the Most High's knowledge is just incredible. You know what I'm saying? You got smart brothers back there, you know. Everybody that you see as an Israelite, trust and believe, is not just screaming and yelling on the streets. What you see is the passion on the streets. But if you came to sit down to talk to an Israelite, you'll find out that the knowledge is very expansive and you will enjoy yourself. So I just want to, you know, give the brothers some shine and light and let them speak, you know.
Call me Hashar, Israel. Well, it's always a pleasure to come and join the scholarship of these brothers and just be a fan. You know, just enjoy it. You know, don't have to do the hard work and stand up through the PowerPoint. Just enjoy the show. So I'm excited. I'm very excited about the future. You know, it's going to be a hot summer. We're going to bring some fire. The Israelites, we actually put some together. All the brothers here, we're going to be doing a presentation on April 5th in the National Black Theater. So come through, support. We're going to have some surprises. And Egypt will not be able to stand after that night. So I'm very proud of the brothers. They're doing a phenomenal job. And Danyaahla, right?
I'm always humbled to be up here with elders, man. I don't got much to say. I'm just a fan, and I love all my Israelite brothers from all the walks, all the camps, and I'm just happy to be amongst everybody, man. So I just want to share, you know, spread love and call me Danyaahla, and all praise to the Most High.
I was about to speak, so I don't have much to say, but I'm going to give props to this young man right here. Because the Bible says, when you read the book of Songs of Solomon, the 12th chapter, it says, remember the Creator in the days of thy youth. So any man that comes into this walk in his youth, and is as powerful and is as eloquent and loquacious as this brother, I got to take my hat off to this brother. More than like the brothers in my camp, and you'll see all these young brothers now. He won't put this in no side of
That's right.
Get him a hand, man. Get him a hand. You know, all praises for being here together, everybody. And also a shout out to every Israelite camp out there, every Israelite school out there, and all across the world. That's right. Earth. Every Israelite. Peace. Hashar. Every Israelite out there, you know, so we're going to be fair. All right, so we're going to move right along. So this is coming home, cleaning up the mind. All right.
Move the stand out the way.
Okay, I got you, King. Yeah, because I do get aggressive and crazy, right? But we gonna, you know, be calm. Praise the Lord. So it's all right. So a lot of people are under the impression that when we speak, that we're speaking from the terms of the white man. White man made this up, this, that, and the other, Africa, so on and so forth. But we're gonna clean up the minds of our people to understand that here in the shores of America, a matter of fact, throughout the Americas, that you are Hebrew Israelites. The so-called black man, woman, and child, so-called Hispanic man, woman, and child. Okay? And our people are going to find this out as time is revealed more and more. But we're going to move on and see what this word says. Come on, read it. Let's go. I'm always talking about read. I think I'm in the streets. See, that's read on. All right. You got that, brother? You got it. Read that.
Right here?
Yeah.
Therefore, shalt thou enemies, Salah, therefore, shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he have destroyed thee.
So now when you check this out, we know, and everybody in here know, being Israelites, that this is speaking about our people. This was a past prophecy. And that yoke is heavy upon our people, man. Now we had the physical yokes, now we have a spiritual yoke in our minds. Okay? We don't believe or think that we're Israelites no more. We Kemites and other things. We faggots, we everything, we rappers, we all these things. But we're going to see how heavy it's on us. Go ahead, brother. Move on so we can see. All right? Just go through these scriptures nice and slow. Okay? So it's the prophecy. On here it says, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there, come on.
Just sit on that.
You slow, Pop. So now, our people being enslaved, right? And the things that happen to us that's written in the scriptures, a lot of people can't describe that. There's no other prophecies, and salute to everybody, being whatever you are. But there's prophecies in the Bible. You can't find these prophecies in Kemet. You can't find these prophecies in China, so on and so forth. I mean, so I just went to China just to show you a vast, a broad scope across this planet, right? It's only happened in the Bible. So now let's see what happens. Check this out. The cracker, don't be offended, please. If you're cracking here, then that's what you are. The cracker taught us Israel isn't connected to the African landmass. Now, here's where they caught us. Because we stuck on people, but the cracker's not concerned with people. He's concerned with land. If you control the land, you control who? The people. Real simple. See how smart the cracker is? See, so he fooled us to be consumed with people as opposed to land. That's why we don't have nothing. Because we don't realize what to take over.
Right.
You deal with the land mass, you control the people and everything that's in the land. So when we understand that there's 7 continents on this planet, we know that the land mass that we come from called Israel is on the continent Africa. Gun? Cain? See, you should be sharing the Hebrew language, right? Alright, go on. So now, here it is. Everybody knows this. It's Egypt. And this is what they separated. This is what they created, right? The separated says the Suez Canal. Oh, that's the Middle East. There's no such thing as Middle Eastern people. No such thing whatsoever. But our people get confused, and this is where the battles come in at. Okay, the Kemet brothers, the Hebrew brothers and sisters, this is where we battle at, not understanding about the land. Oh, next one. Now let's see what happens. Come on. Uh-oh. There's a fence. Why the hell is there a fence in Egypt? To separate what? The landmass. Right. And here you have this Hamas, and they're building underground roads under this fence. Okay? Now this is modern. This is modern times. Okay, so now why is the fence made? It's the same thing. Now how we could scratch our head to say what happened in America to the landmass of Mexico. Alright? Right. Isn't there a fence there? Yeah. To separate it. To separate what? The people. To say what? So this is why they deal with topography. Everything on the map, they say, we're going to make lines here. And the people, when they see a line, they say, I can't cross the line. Right. So therefore, the one that made the line controls the land and who? The people. Right. That's right. Simple science. Okay, but we fail to realize this. So there's a fence out there in Egypt separating that landmass from Israel. Go on. Okay, let's connect. Connecting to a landmass, the white man's teaching. Right. What does he say? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to which it stands. He don't pledge allegiance to who? The people. He don't do that. He do it to the landmass. So again, we have to stress this in our minds to understand the science and how he broke us down. He was the scriptures tell us that he's a natural warrior, right? The white man, he rules by the sword, and he don't rule in vain, right? So he knows what to do. Okay, let's go on. Okay, says the cracker concept. Y'all see I love that word, right? Psalms 49:11. Okay, it says their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Right, that's right. This is the why he got this down packed, man. If he came in the store, he'd say, Joel, I want the store. Right? Is he going to name the store after Joel or himself? Himself. You see? This is how he operates. Okay? Same thing. Come on. Forensic anthropology. Okay? Craniometric skull variation. So we're going to see something and get a science to understand it, because the white man deals with blood, DNA, but DNA can be manipulated. This is factual. Bones can only be moved. They can't be manipulated. That's right. Okay? So don't get caught up, oh, DNA, I found out I'm this, I'm that. So when people use DNA, what happens is they wind up finding out that they 3 or 4 different things. Because the white man has to use this in order to make himself inclusive to the human family. This is factual. This is why he uses DNA. Because he knows that he can manipulate it and you don't understand it. But we all understand cranial features. Okay? Now, of course, we know that some of our brothers and sisters may look a certain way, and then we go by the father and his bloodline. Cain. Right? So when we understand this, but we're going to see, can we get an anthropology degree right now? Let's see. Go ahead, move on. We're going to see this real quick. All right? Which is better, DNA versus cranial anthropology? DNA is an inclusion and exclusion. What that means, if a man in here took a test, to find out if a child is his, what's the percentage? Look, I mean he took the test. See that? What's the percentage?
99.99.
99.99. How come it's not 100? Okay? How come? Now, if you see a man have a child, you say, Dad, she look just like you. She walk like you. Okay? She talk like you. Now, why did I use the terms of walking and talking? Simply because that is a spiritual genetic trait. Okay? You can't fake that. Now, many of our children may look the same as somebody, you know, that's not the person's child. But when a child starts walking like the parent, doing things like the parent, saying things, that's only spiritual. Now, you don't need no goddamn DNA test to tell you that that's your child, right? Right. Okay? Right. So when we deal with bones and we see something, let's see, forensic anthropology. It's got craniogeography. So this is a white man. We know this white man, what was his name? Johann Blumenblatt, right? He went into the Caucasus Mountains, found the skull, and he's called the white man what? Caucasian. Because he's seen the cranial structure. So this is how they play with our minds. They get us with land masses, catch us with DNA, things that we can't touch. But when everything is before us, it's very simplified. Right? So he says bones can't be manipulated. Bones can be moved. That's it. Go to the next one. Come on. So let's see. The European. Sloping orbits, his eye sockets. You can always prove this. This is factual. Okay? And then when you deal with the nasal spine, and his nasal spine slopes down. Okay? Go to the next one. Let's see. Now y'all getting y'all degree, so pay close attention. I'm telling you, about to get an anthropology degree right now. American Indian. Now we know the American Indians are so-called 10 tribes, right? Good? Let me hear y'all 10 tribes. Because you know they trying to come at y'all. They trying to come at y'all now. Let's see. So they have the rounded orbits, right? Okay, and the flared nasal openings. This is facts. You can find it on any one of our brothers and sisters, right? Now go to the next slide. Let's see. Okay, so we have what? The smooth and depressed. The prognathism is the teeth that's coming forward, the gum line. You can easily tell it's the gum line coming out, right? So now, you got the smooth slope line and the opening. Now let's see if you get your degree. Go to the next slide. Let's see who this is. Now I'm asking y'all, raise your hand. Who is this?
The white man.
No, I'm just asking y'all. Why do you say it's a white man? Let me ask you over here, brother. Who's that?
He look worse than white.
Huh? Why do you say it's the white man? Come on up here, brother. Come on up here, man. We inclusive. Let's go.
Don't be scared out.
Why do you say it's the white man?
He's on top.
White man because of the nose cavity.
Nose cavity?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's that the sloping orbital, right?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying? Okay, let's see if he's right. Go. Let's see if he's right. The answer is European. Let's get that man a hand. Get that man a hand. It's easy. It's easy. Okay? But the white man wants you to think it's hard because he goes into a lab with DNA. You can't get your behind in a lab. Right. Think about this. You suck your blood, you do what you do, you send it to the lab, they send it back. How do you know that's you? How do you know it's yours? Right. It's ridiculous, man. Right. Okay? We got to wake up. Go to the next slide. Come on. Neolithic period. Because many donut head brothers out there, okay, y'all done heard them, them Kelly brothers, yeah, I'm talking about you. They say what? Y'all wasn't around. You came around the Iron Age, right? This is the Stone Age period. Right. So let's see if we was right? In Mesopotamia and Egypt, Egypt is said to be circa 3000 BC as developed settlement. Come on, go to the next one. Let's see. Where are we? Here we go. The Natufians, so-called black people in the Palestinian Levant region during the Neolithic period. I thought we wasn't there. I thought we wasn't there. Y'all gotta clap it up for that, man. Come on, man. I thought we wasn't there. I thought we wasn't there. Yeah. Here we go, right here. Okay? So when you understand this, they found skulls. They found bones in this region. The Natufians. We were in that land. Okay? During the Stone Age period. Don't bring that Iron Age garbage here. Okay? Go on, man. Come on. Here we go. The Natufians. Remember, you took the test. So you're all anthropologists here. Look at the orbital. Right there. Whose is it? That's not a European's. It's not a European's. It's not a European's. And here's what they found in the Levant corridor region over here. It's not a European's. Okay? So we got to wake up and understand how they operate. Go to the next one, man. Here we go. Note the cranial features again. white, black. Now these came from those regions. They found them in those regions. This is why we go in there and showing you these skulls. Okay, this is where they came from. Okay, go. Here we go. Now view the nose duct of the ancient Natufi, and there it goes again, showing you that duct. These are 8 ancient Hebrew Israelites that went under different names. Remember, don't ever get caught up in the name Hebrew and Israel. This is why they try to catch us. They try to open the Bible and say, Israelites, you wasn't there, because they used the word Israel. And we get caught because we argue with them the name Israel. You can't argue that name. Okay? We know that that name came later, in a later period. Right. Okay? So we know that our forefather was under a different title. And check that out. The name Israel is nothing but a title anyway. Okay? A title that was given from a higher power when he wrestled the angel. Okay? So we understand that. Never argue with anybody about the name Israel, because then we'll get caught in history. And this is factual. So we deal with history based upon our people. Where did Moses come from? Come on, man. You brothers are smart. Where did Moses come from? Huh? I'm asking you, brother. Come on. Seriously, where did Moses come from?
Egypt.
Huh? Well, before that, where Moses came from, and now where did Abraham come from? Huh? Now he came from where?
Mesopotamia.
He came from Mesopotamia, right?
Mesopotamia.
That's our forefather, right? Now, if you go in the Apocrypha, you'll find that in the Apocrypha. They tell you in the Apocrypha where we came from, where our forefather came from. So never argue the name Israel. It's dumb. It's simplistic. We always been here. Okay? Coming? Let's get most high hand for that, man. Oh, we got to do the Apocrypha. He came from that land and it kills him. Kills him straight away. Go on, Lord. Here we go. Remember, oh, I love that word. Remember, crackers can manipulate DNA, but they can't manipulate bones. Now, of course, this word, you never use this word Asian, because they like to catch us here with this name here. This name came later during the Greek period. This was a Greek name, actually, okay, when they use the word Asian. So never try to use, don't be careful of using that, because people will catch you up. Say, wait a minute, Asiatic? That was a label that the Greeks put on later, all right? So move on, come on. Now here we go. The black Mesopotamians in medieval times. Most of the available depictions, matter of fact, we ain't even got to go there. Skip this, man. Skip this, skip this, skip this. We ain't gonna go there. Continue. The pre-dynastic, first dynastic, the royal tombs. Thanks to such glosses and consistency of representation throughout the Old Kingdom, we may describe the typical Asiatic man of the early 3rd millennium BC as bearded and with long braided hair confined by a fillet and falling behind the ears. Just like this brother. Come here, come on up here, brother. Come on up here. Come on, yo. Come on up here. Come on up here. Come this way, this way. Come this way. Come this way. Come on.
We'll try before my ear.
Watch out for the
Good question.
Now here's the funny part. Now notice what it said, right? Bearded, right? The long braided right hair, confined by a fillet, falling behind the what? Behind the ears. It just so happens that the brother had his hair like this. Now he come from Danyaahla's camp, so you know I ain't telling. Look, brother, braid your hair. See that? You see? So it's there. So see how the Most High is? Come on, I can't give him a hand. Give him a hand. All right. So this is how our people, certain looks that we had on it. Go on, Lord. Come on. All right, let's move on. Let's move on because of time. Now, again, the Levant region. So when we see this, okay, again, we were there. Don't let them lie to us, okay, and don't fall for it. Go on, Lord, come on. Now, here we go. Cranial measurements prove Israelites were so-called black people. Now, this was an actual study that they had. Okay, the vertical breadth, okay, was the strongest indicator of climatic adaptation, so on and so forth. But let's just get to the numbers. Watch this. Here's the populations, here's the skulls that they found in that region. The same region we talked about in the Levant. Now here's the skulls. Okay, no region. No, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Now watch this. Here's the size of the skull. Now, who watches CSI?
Right here.
I'm glad y'all do.
Yes, sir.
But I bet some of you brothers watch Atlanta Housewives and all that nonsense. But check this out, right? So CSI, they deal with the measurement of bones. So when they go there, they say, okay, this was this man, that man, so on and so forth. Everybody in here, guarantee you, our measurement will be under the 11s. This is factual, 115s. All right, now watch this. The Norwegians, 123.7. Okay, Hungarian, this is the skulls that they found. Okay, 123.5. Okay, the Austrian, 129.2. Okay, you got 126.3. Okay, so the Romans, the Islanders, or the Ottoman Islanders. Okay, here we go, 110.03. Now let's just get down to the point. Now, don't you ever let them tell you also that all Africans are the same. Don't let them tell you that. Everybody speak Africa. Remember, Africa is what? A large continent. With 50 plus countries. You'll see all their skulls is different sizes. Why is that? Okay, don't let them tell you that they all the same. No, absolutely not. Now here we go down here. Look at the skulls in Lachish that they found. They found 61 skulls, 119.2. Okay, now watch what it says. Lachish, Judah. Here we go. They found black people there. Found them there. You can't refute this. It's impossible. Okay? So now, if you had your skull measured, okay, they talk about the base of your skull up here. Alright? From the forehead up, you'll find that it's in this range right here. Okay? Can't go no further than that. So these are the skulls that they found, and you see that our people was up there during the Neolithic period. Go on, Lord. Okay, here we go. Lachish. These was what the sculptors made. I think Malak spelled that wrong. I'm teasing you. Go on, look. What's that, Zion? Okay, the next one. Next one, look.
Don't blame it.
Watch it. It says, damn, there we go. You spelled that right. They're cracking out of these Lachish relics. So these are the relics that they found, and when they found these relics at the same time that they found those skulls, okay, in that area. So you find that these were black people. All right, go on, next one. Okay, the so-called white man is not a Jew. This is factual. He's not a Jew. Now they love DNA so much. See, the white man had infiltrated DNA. Now there's this book. You got that book? Go, give me that bag. The book. Yes, I'm sorry, sister. Oh, I was in your way? I apologize. You do it like y'all usually do. Move, nigga. You see this? We'll find out. Keep it coming. So we know that the white man manipulated DNA by trying to make himself inclusive. If you find this out, now they're trying to change when they do a mitochondrial DNA and what is it? What you call it, man? Mitochondria? Huh? Help me out. It's a name that they have for the man. Not the chromosome. I'm talking about the name that they have.
Y chromosome and Y chromosome.
Yeah, Y chromosome using the man, right? Right. Mitochondria is the woman, and we know the XY man, but it's a name that they have for him using the man, going through his DNA. All right. I thought it was a smart crowd, man. You Hebrews, man, you're too smart, huh? Matrilineal. Thank you, huh? There you go, man. Get that Hebrew hand. Say it again, Hebrew. Matrilineal. There you go. Now, what they try to do is this, because remember, when you follow from the Father, it's just straightforward. Straightforward. When you deal with the woman's DNA, it spreads. It spreads abroad. You know, so when it spreads, you can easily say, I'm going to get this DNA here. Oh, you come from here. Because remember, from one woman to another woman to another woman, it keeps spreading. So how could you trace it properly? It's impossible. So we get fooled when we deal with so-called science and DNA. You get fooled because you trace something that goes this way as opposed to straightforward. You see? This is how the earth goes. The earth goes straight forward, does it not? This is how time goes. It goes straight forward, does it not? So how could you deal with something that goes out that way? It's impossible. You get confused after a while. So now, here's this book right here. And all of you can get it. I'm not going to even read it, but get this book called DNA Science and the Jewish Bloodline. This man right here by the name of Tex Mars, he went after them. And he went after them through DNA. And guess who found the DNA? So-called Jews. Okay? It was first a woman, and it was two men. And they went and said, whoa, these guys are not Jews. And they shook them. It's by Tex Mars. They hate this man. Okay? Get this book. It's a very important book for your arsenal. Because you get to understand and see that, damn, you want to use DNA, they get caught up. So then they tried to switch it around, and they said, okay, well, you know what? We'll try to deal with the matrilineal DNA. Thank you, brother. Right? We try to deal with that. So they tried to use this so to go straight forward, and they got caught there. Because they found out through both sides, through the woman's DNA and the man's DNA, that they wound up being damn Khazars. Okay? Get that book and you see that in that book. So they caught themselves out there. They're like, damn, there's no way we can escape this. But go on, come on. Damn. So it says the Jewish Almanac. Now this is one of their books. Strictly speaking, it is correct to call it is incorrect to call an ancient Israelite a Jew. Right? So it says, or to call a contemporary Jew an Israelite. Right. Hebrew. They told on themselves. See, but they believe that people are so dumb that you can't read between the lines of wordplay. Okay, when you understand the English language is one of the greatest languages that you could deal with something called spells. Okay, and this is why they're masters at it. That's why, because what? The English language is derived from older languages. And this is why they use more words to comprise one sentence or greetings. Okay, or anything that they speak of, they put more words in it. It's something that they use called anagrams. And when you use an anagram, right? Anybody knows what an anagram is? An anagram can only necessarily be done in the English language. It can't be done or duplicated in other languages, because why they deal with certain just vowel sounds like the so forth and so on. But the English language takes everything, consonants, vowels, so like what would you get out of repent? Repent. Give me an anagram. Repeat. Out of repentance. A person that repents. An anagram for repent is serpent.
Forgiven.
Now, there's a science to this. Because why? The serpent, sin, and so forth and so on, so you change it around. So that's what the English language. That's just one anagram. Alright? But we're going to move on just to show you whatever how the white man deals with words and flip it up, but he tells you the truth right before your eyes. Just like when you read a calendar, he also tells you the truth. How so? By telling you October, but we know in Spanish, October, what? October means 8. Right? But then, what month in the Gregorian calendar, what month is it? 10th. What month? They said the 10th month, right? Right? December, decade, 10th, right? Switch it up. See, he puts it in your face, but it's up to us to unravel the mystery. That's how he works. Okay? Go ahead. The Encyclopedia Americana. Okay, 1985. It tells you the same thing, who they are, the K's are, so on and so forth. Go ahead. Just keep going. Just keep going. Alright, because we want to keep doing it. Here we go. The 15th edition. Same thing, who they are. Alright, in the middle of your turn. Y'all know it. I ain't got to read it. Y'all just get that. Move on. Everybody wants. I know, what's today? Sunday, right? I know she's like, she wants to go out to the house. I'm teasing. Alright, Encyclopedia Americana, 1985. Same thing. Move on. They're showing you, in all these different encyclopedias that they have this information, who they are. Move on. Okay, move on. Encyclopedia, okay, here we go. University, okay. Come on, move on. See, we just put all these encyclopedias tell you the same damn thing who these people are. And these are their books. Move on. That's Arthur Koestler, we know that. But that man Tex Mars, he backs Arthur Koestler up. Matter of fact, there's another book that we have, and y'all get it, it's called Abraham's Chosen People, DNA. He backs that up, okay? And they go into DNA and showing who our people are through there and so forth, and showing who his people are not. But move on. The Zionist connection, move on. Same thing, now they go through the blood. Now the maps of the Khazars, move on. I don't even want to look at that. Clear your mind. Okay, so now here we go. Now we're going to get a better understanding. So we just went through anthropology, understanding through bone structure, where they found the city of Lachish. We went through the Stone Age way back, so on and so forth. Go ahead, Lord. Now let's prove we are the true chosen children of Yah through the Crackers' own admission. All right, here we go. Go ahead, Lord. The word, okay? Hosea 8:1. Set the trumpet to thy mouth. He shall come as an eagle against the house of Yah, because they have transgressed my covenant. Speaking about us, because we transgressed the covenant, right? And trespassed against my law. Okay? Go ahead. Let's see. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Anytime y'all need to read it, just go. All right, go. Here we go. Look at this, the Romans. They were the first ones that did this and started this, because they did the institution of slavery hardcore on us. Okay? Anybody know what this symbol is? Anybody? There you go. Hashar symbol. It's on your dime. When you're dying, and so forth. And this is why they're showing they still have the same rulers today. And these cats was brutal. Go ahead, man. Come on. Okay? The Catholic nation, the Dutch Netherlands. Here they go. And a lot of people don't realize how powerful the Catholic Church is, who they own. Okay? They own, listen, they own everything. And I did hear Dodo Egg say, that guy's crazy, Hashar said they own it. But what about the Jews? The Jews are... You're going to see who owns the damn Jews. Right. That allows them to rule. Okay? The Great Britain, United Kingdom, they all got. Keep on. Come on. You see their crown. And this crown is actually the Pope's crown. Okay? The Pope's crest. Okay? Spain, Luxembourg, Germany. Come on. Go ahead. The Catholic nation of Portugal. You have the same setup. Now, a lot of people don't even realize when you look at these castles, this is supposed to represent the old Vatican castle in Portugal. Come on, go. Okay, here we go. Catholic nation, France, America. We know what America did. Y'all know the 13 strategies. Y'all know the conspiracy theories. Y'all know all of that, right? Okay, keep going. The capital of Germany, Austria. They're using the eagle. Come on. Here we go. Egyptologists can't prove they are Kemites. We can prove we are Israelites through the Bible and history. Come on, go. Okay, what is the true identity of the slaves? The truth behind slavery. We heard what slavery was all about. The transatlantic trade slave, right? What is it about? What they say it was about?
Black folks got stolen from Africa and brought to America. That's the vague general story, right?
Right, but mainly gold, things of that nature, correct? Right? They was doing it for that. It's garbage. It's a lie. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay? And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. What am I? Who am I? Come on. Let's see what he said. The cracker stole our history for a reason. History is a people's memory, and without a memory, man is demoted to the lower animal.
Wow. Right. That's crazy.
This is what Malcolm has said. Remember, when Malcolm came back from Mecca, remember he was assassinated? You know the reasons why they say so forth and so on, but it's deeper reasons. And remember in his speeches, when he said that, you're going to hear men speaking in the streets out there in America, to the chosen people. Remember that? Right. Okay. We're going to see. All right. A people without knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. Marcus Garvey. Come on. Go. Here we go. We were all taught about the transatlantic slave trade. Here's a trade over here in South America. They went here to grab this. This is what they actually try to show people in history books, right? Go to the next one. The enslavement of the Israelites. You can see over there, right? All right. The enslavement of the Israelites started under the auspice of the Catholic Church. Although Africans and Arabs sold us, their motives were unlike the Catholic churches. It's a difference. It's a total difference, and we're going to see that. Come on, go. The power of the pontiffs. That means to pontificate, to speak, to set rules by force. So now let's see who was running things and setting things all across this world, including today. Come on, go. The power of the Pope. Here's a question to ask. Why is it that presidents are visiting the Pope? Just people know that. Now it's not being just doing American presidents. Got Obama. Go to the next one. Okay. You got, who's this guy? Nixon, right? You got Bush, right? You got Kennedy, right? You got the Duchess, right? Go ahead. Keep going. What the hell the Duchess is there? Wait, whoa. You say, well, Africans ain't doing it. Well, here we go right here. Right. Okay? Right. Okay? Right. Ghana. This is the president of Ghana. Okay? Now you have the president of the Congo. Right here. What the hell are these presidents? From Africa, America, all over. Why do they go to Vatican City?
You know what it is, man.
Why? Why they go to Vatican? What's the need? Give me a need. I want you to give me a need. Why they gotta go to Vatican City? I'm asking you, sister.
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
Because they own them.
Because they own them, right? That's cool. That's beautiful. But nobody takes consideration. They think this is just a photo op. But you have to understand, why do they have to go all the way over there to meet the Pope? Because the rules are really set over there. Yes, Ken?
Now, I just wanted to say as an answer, because the people that's really in rulership, they have to give the authority to these puppets to actually bring forth an order. So that's why I would say that the people, the lower elites will actually cleave on to the popes and everything.
Absolutely. The Jesuit orders. Okay, listen, this place is no joke. Don't you sleep on it and think, oh, they nothing. It's a very powerful place. It is the most powerful nation on the planet. And it's only 2 million people strong. And it's not even a bunch of people. It's mainly popes, cardinals, etc., etc. Okay, yes, brother.
And the Pope got, you could say direct access to Satan himself.
That's right. That's right. Entity. And what he has more access to is all the history on the planet Earth. It all lies there in the Vatican. They know who's what and who's who. And they keep everything in control by telling everybody, I can tell the truth on you, I can tell the truth on you. Okay, this is what we're going to do to keep everything in order. Let's move on. Come on. Wow. Here, y'all know this is Mugabe. That's Clinton. This is the Queen. Why the hell is everybody? England runs this place. Are you sure about that? Are you sure? Why did not the Pope go to England? Okay. Okay, and this is the president of Brazil. All right, go ahead. Now, Africa. Okay. No, watch this. The World Bank president. His name is Chim. I couldn't even tell was laughing. Okay. And the popes. Now, why did he go visit? Now listen, this is the World Bank president. Now, why did the president of the World Bank go visit the Pope? Wow. Now think about this. Here's the thing. Who funds wars? Huh? Who's there? The bank. Which bank? The World Bank funds wars. Now this is a man of peace. Right? How's that? When the World Bank president, they fund wars. So how could a man of peace be here side by side?
Exactly.
And these are different popes.
Look at the sinister look on his face.
Okay? Now a lot of people fail to realize this is serious business, man. You have to ask yourself, why is he there? There's no need for him there. He doesn't don't belong there.
Right.
But there's a bigger thing going on. They say, look, this is what's going to happen here. This is what's going to go on over here. And they make sure that these people get these orders by greeting them. These are damn ceremonies that are seen before our eyes. When you go visit a pope, when you go visit him, it's an actual ritual. And they let the world know who's in control. Because in ancient times, everybody had to go see who? The king. Right. And the people acknowledge that, wow, the king acknowledged these people. So this is what's being shown to the world. We think it's just a photo op, but it's bigger than that. Okay? Now notice, they funding this, they talk about Africa. Who's building up Africa right now?
The what?
China.
Chinese. Who you think is allowing these fundings to go on?
The white man.
The white man, yeah. The World Bank, Kim, they know what they're doing. Yeah. They know this is a bigger plan, but everybody, you see, where the black man at? It's bigger than what you think, man. Go on to the next one.
Right.
Okay? Now, for you dodo eggheads, not in here. I'm just saying, out there and everywhere. And if you're in here like thinking like that, the damn Jew don't run nothing. Because the damn Jew, so-called Jew, is visiting who? The Pope. He's visiting the Pope.
Right.
Okay? Go to the next one. Here's the president of Israel today. Visiting the Pope. Think about it. Okay?
Wow.
Yes, brother.
I read some information that the so-called Jews, some of them are actually Jesuit agents.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what people fail to realize, remember, when you deal with Hitler and the Nazis, all the Nazis were Catholic. All of them were Catholic. Now, wait a minute. Whoa! All of them were Catholic. Go back to the World Bank, man. Watch this. If all the Nazis were Catholic, Hitler was the one, right? Who they said started all this war, that World War II, right? If he was the one, wait a minute. Who funds wars? The World Bank.
Right. Right.
So now when you deal with the Nazis, all of them being Catholics, including Hitler himself, whose real name is Adolf Sugarberger, who's an illegitimate child of Rothschilds. And he found out that he wasn't a Jew. That's why he used, man, we're going to burn you in ovens. So the real Jews are Schwarzes. So when you understand all of this, keep going. Now when you understand all of the science there is, we'll see that, wait a minute, there's something big going on. Because all those Nazi criminals, who allowed them to escape? Anybody know?
It was us.
The Vatican. The Vatican allowed them to go in Argentina, one of the largest worshippers of Catholicism.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Think about it. This is bigger than what we could ever imagine. Okay? So we just got to read between the lines. So when you see the rat line, now who? Whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Aren't those Catholic? Oh my, look at this, man. This is real. This is real. And I advise all y'all to go through that. Go and look up the rat line. And see who they allowed to escape. See who was on everything that they did and how the Catholics protected them even to this day. Yes, King?
It showed you that movie Inglourious Basterds with Brad Pitt. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, a lot of brothers think that movies are real, man. They showed you what's going on. They showed you that.
That's right. That's right. No. That's right.
That's it.
That's right. You see that? Go to the next slide. So with that in mind, just keep understanding what's really going on. Because see, now you'll get a better understanding of what the slave trade was and when it really happened. So it says the enslaving of Israelites. The fake triangular trade was this. When they went from here, so-called, came down here, and they just tell you where certain routes and what they wanted. But the real trade was this. The Catholics ruling, the Arabs, then they had non-Israelite Africans. Okay? And that's what you're going to find out, that it had nothing to do with gold and all that. It has something to do with real gold. When you read the scriptures, right? What do the scriptures call the children of Israel? Gold. Calls us what? Fine gold. Let me hear you all say it. Gold. Calls us fine gold. And it says that the Jews shall fall out in the streets, right? Yeah. So you got to understand who we are as a people, man. And what was really going on. Okay, go to the next slide. Come on.
Now rich.
So it says what? Now we're going to see out their own damn mouth. Okay? Out their own mouth. Pope Innocent. What a goddamn man. Okay? 1198, 12, 16. As Cain was a wanderer and an outcast. Now these are his words. Not to be killed by anyone, but marked with the sign of fear on his forehead. So the Jews. Now think about this. This didn't happen to the white man that calls himself a Jew. You're gonna see their words and what they say to do, and you will see that it wasn't talking about the white man that calls himself a Jew. Right? He says what? Against whom the voice of the blood of Christ cries out. Okay? Because they say that we went against all this other nonsense, right? Although they are not to be killed, they must always be dispersed as wanderers upon the face of the earth. Romans 28. What the most I say about us? Go to the next slide. Uh-oh! I said I would scatter them into corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Right. Nobody knows who we are no more. Right. Nobody. We black, we Hispanic. How about that? Huh? But the white man can say that he's Caucasian, and he can tell you as a Caucasian man where he comes from. The African man can tell you that he's African and tell you what country in Africa he comes from. Right. So you see, everybody is locked. The Chinese man, Japanese man, who they are, they can tell you where they come from, but we can't do that. This is why you see all these so-called debates. This ain't no debate, man. Listen, man, that's a playground. The real battlefield is telling the white man who we are and telling him to give us back our nationality. Right. Okay, this stuff is just nothing but a playground. Go ahead, man. Go ahead, go to the next one. Come on. Let's see what he said. Pope Innocent III, although Christian piety tolerates the Jews, whose own fault, God damn it, whose own fault commits them to perpetual slavery. That's out of his mouth. He says, our own fault commits us to perpetual slavery. Now notice, why am I excited about that? Because it says what? The piety to the Jews. Right. Now, show me where a goddamn white man that calls himself a Jew was in the perpetual slavery. No. Find it. No. Give it to me. Huh? It's not there. The white man that calls himself a Jew was never in perpetual slavery. So who the hell was Pope Innocent talking about? That's right. Huh? He was talking about us who are the Jews, man. We'll read that again. Although Christian piety tolerates the Jews, whose own fault, meaning us going against the law, statutes, commandments of the Heavenly Father, commits them to perpetual slavery and allows them to continue with us. Now they put in parentheses, even though the Moors will not tolerate them. Those wild brothers, okay, some of them, not all of them, okay, that went into Islam. Right. And they were into what? See, it's a science to this. Now, why did they not want to deal with us anymore? Because they were into trade and commerce. Under order from the Catholic Church and these other places. This is why they were selling our people along with the so-called white man in Arab. Because they knew where to go. Right. This is factual. Go ahead, next one, come on. So now, Pope Innocent III continues, although it be not displeasing to the Lord, but rather acceptable to him, that the Jewish dispersion should live and serve under Christian princes. Now, remember what I showed you earlier? Those flags with the eagles, those different countries, the Catholic nations? Who was we in captivity under? Remember Portugal? They was the first ones to go and start grabbing and snatching. Okay? Remember Rome? Remember Spain? Yeah. You understand? Yeah. This is so those were the Christian princes. That's why they had their crowns and their crests that came from the Catholic Church, from the Vatican. So now this is who they had. They went and grabbed us up. Okay? Go to the next one. And I advise y'all to keep these things in your arsenal and look these things up about these popes so you understand that it's all a game. Pope Gregory, let's see what he said. The Jews who are admitted to our acquaintance only through our mercy should never forget their yoke of perpetual slavery. Now didn't Pope Innocent say the same thing? Now why is Pope Gregory saying this? And keep in mind that the so-called white man that calls himself a Jew was never in perpetual slavery, nor any kind of slavery. That's right. Okay? So now who was these popes talking about? They was talking about us, man. A so-called black, Hispanic man, woman, and child of Negro and Indian descent, who are the Hebrew Israelites, man. Okay? Right. So he says what? In the Council of Toledo, it was decreed that Jews of both sexes, male and female, and for all time should be distinguished from others by their mode of dress. Okay? We therefore command that each and every one of you to have all the excess of the Jews completely repressed, lest they should presume to raise their necks from the yoke of servitude and contumely of the Redeemer. So they did this only because that's why we in the conditions that we in. Why? So they can remember, say, look, if they wake up, that's why you think they don't publicize you being an Israelite? Because we talk, hey, wait a minute, we came on slave ships. Wait a minute, this is in the Bible. Wait a minute, this is us. They don't publicize that. They publicize anything else but that. Exactly. Anything else. They can't promote you. They can't promote us. Okay? Go to the next one. Come on. Let's see. Pope Nicholas, another one? Okay, Dumb DeVeris, I say dumbass. Okay, okay, Papal Bull, June 18, 1452. We grant, now listen to this now. This is, now remember, we showed the pictures of all the presidents going to Rome, to Vatican, to meet the Pope. Now, that happened way back then. Because he says what? We grant you kings of Spain and Portugal, because they went there. Same rules apply, same things were going on. By these, present documents. So they went to the Vatican, met Pope Nicholas. They wrote papers and gave them papers what they were going to be able to do, put people in slavery. Watch this. With our apostolic authority, full and free permission to invade, search out, capture, and subjugate the Sacarians. Look up who the Sacarians were. They were Israelites. Okay? They were Moors under Islam dealing with Muslim things, right? Okay? And why did we start doing that? Because we said, well, damn, we catching hell being Jew. You know what? But we still can try to worship the Creator. We'll just deal with the Quran. We'll do it sneakily. Okay? And that's how people did. So they went and so, but they were smart enough, so our people was doing that. So they said, man, go and get them niggas. They said, go and get them. They ain't gonna fool us, right? And pagans and any other unbelievers and enemies of Christ. That means those that didn't even go into Islam, that stayed in the zone. They said, go after them. And it was given permission by Pope Nicholas and papers of authority. So you see how the Vatican rules everything. Now, why the hell did the kings of Spain and Portugal back then had to go to goddamn Rome? Because they had the power. And the same thing is happening today. Okay? Go on, man. Come on. Matter of fact, let me get that last black verse, man. Come on. Go back to that. Because it's going to show you what Pope Gregory said, the same thing as Pope Innocent and a post before him. It says that what? Right here. Okay? Christ, wherever they may be, as well as their kingdoms, right? Duces, counties, principalities, and other property, and to reduce their persons into perpetual servitude. So you see who was pushing slavery hardcore and why they was pushing slavery. Show us where they was talking about damn gold. Show us where they was talking about money. It's nowhere. That's not there. They was just talking about how they went against their father and what to do. Okay? Go who you going after. Go ahead. Papal bulls, okay? Romanist Pontiff. Now, any of you teachers, please, all you brothers, sisters, get this right here. It costs $30 to get because you can't get it online. They won't allow you to. These papers right here, okay, I'm not going to pronounce it. These papers right here, they won't allow you to pull it off. They won't allow you to Google it or get it. You'll see a quick glimpse of it, and then what happens is it goes off. You can't pull it. And they charge you. They charge you $30 for it. And in these papers right here, boy, oh boy, you'll see it all. They tell you everything. I mean, they go in and say what they're going to do, how to do it, who you go after, why to go after, so on, forth, and so on. Get this, write this down. Go to the next one. And that's the reason why I got that there, so you brothers can get that. Oh, all right, write that down. Once you get that, you'll see that, wow, this really has nothing to do with all that goals of. Yes, brother?
It correlates with Danyaahla's breakdown with why King James didn't
absolutely.
Power even to stop the slavery.
Absolutely. Right. And that's absolutely why you think me and Danyaahla work so strong. You know, he's a superhero now. You know what? Because look, because we knew that he was going to deal with the King James subject. See, a lot of people, look, the brother has vast knowledge. So he's not just dealing with King James. It's just to wake you up and open your mind to get an understanding why you should understand how they hated King James. And they didn't want his book and so forth and so forth, people to deal with it. Because it was something bigger than that. And so he couldn't stop this guy. Come on, man. You can't stop that monster. Okay? All right, go on. Come on. religious slavery versus chattel slavery. It's two different things. Okay, because a lot of people think that chattel slavery came in the 1400s, but it didn't. Okay, we'll find this out. Okay, because, 1441, now watch this. This was what the quest for gold. In 1441, start of European slave trading in Africa. The Portuguese captains, Antio Congabes, I can't pronounce it. Any of you 10 tribe brothers can pronounce that? I'm not joking, I'm serious.
Go Calvers.
Oh, thank you. Gracias. Nuno Tristo, right? Captured 12 Africans in Cabo Branco, the modern Mauritania, and take them, to Portugal as slaves. So now, this is what dealing with gold. This is when the Portuguese, that was their purpose, and that's why they got permission. But they knew who to kick out and excommunicate, okay? So now in 1452, 18th of June, 1452, watch this. It says, Pope Nicholas issues Dum Tavares, a bull authorizing Portuguese. That's what we read. Okay, now in 1454, Pope Nicholas issues the Roman pontiffs a bull granting the Portuguese a perpetual monopoly in trade with Africa. So now they said, look, we're going to give you permission to go ahead to always be able to trade in Africa. Okay? The Vatican is no joke, man. Okay? So now watch this. So he says what? In trade with Africa, nevertheless, Spanish traders begin to bring slaves from Africa to Spain because they wanted to get on the market. So they started battling the Portuguese. They said, well, we got to do what we got to do. That's why we read earlier. Remember they gave the letter to the Portuguese and the Spaniards? Gave it to them, go do what you got to do. So now let's see chattel slavery. In 1562, Great Britain joins the slave trade. 1641, slavery is officially legalized in America. In the state of Massachusetts, slaves are recognized as property. It's a difference. Don't ever get caught up in the 1400s. When they went to get out from the 10 tribes, what they did, they said it could be good because we know there's gold over there. So the thing was to remove the people so they could take over the land. That's what that was. So then they said, wait a minute, this could be marketable as far as using the people. And that's where you get the chattel slavery from. Good. Understanding the facts. For 110 years prior to the initiation of chattel slavery, slaves was targeted based upon who they were. Israelites. It was who they were. It wasn't anything else. Slaves were plucked from the original Trail of Tears from kingdoms along the west side of Africa down into the interior. These are places that was inhabited by Israelites, and a remnant still remains today. Okay? So you wasn't slaves because of anything else but who you are. The shining light of the Most High, the apple of His eye, the children of Israel. We are not being oppressed in the ghettos today because of anything else but who we are. Hebrew Israelites. When you start to understand that, it becomes a greater knowledge of who you are from the heart. And who you telling people, wait a minute, being an Israelite is something special. Why the hell they want to put us down? Why? Who are we? Because they know once we open up and get the power of the Most High upon us, it's a wrap. Forget the fight. Because remember, the Most High is talking about giving spiritual power. You see what I'm saying? On a different level. Alright? Go on to the next one. Come on. Spain. Portugal had a head start, okay, on Spain in terms of the time in which Spain entered into the African slave trade. The Spanish entered into the slave trade sprawling, what the hell? In 1462, 1476, Carlos de Valera and Castile in Spain brings back 400 slaves from Africa. Move on. Okay, here we go. This decree is something special. 1492. Notice we all start here, right?
Yeah.
Now right now. See that? See that? Everything got a vibration on it, man. I'll tell you. That's why we was in there, man, upset. Oh, what the hell? It was that name on us. You know? So it's a 1492 expulsion. Now this is crazy, man. This is when they said, well, wait, and this is the white man got slick. This is how he tried to cling on, okay, to our nationality and therefore our power. Because we knew we knew the banking system, so on and so forth, and they were able to snatch everything from there. Go to the next one. Here we go. This is the decree. Y'all got to have this and get this. King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, by the grace of God, King and Queen of Castile, Leon, Aragon, and other dominions of the crown, to the Prince Juan, to the dukes, marquis, counts, the holy orders, priors, knights, commanders, lords, the castells, caviars, cavaliers, and to all Jews, men and women of whatever age, and to anyone else, this letter may concern health and grace unto you. You well know that in our dominion there are certain bad Christians that Judaize and committed apostasy against our holy Catholic faith. Much of it is the cause of communication between Jews and Christians. Therefore, in the year 1480, we ordered that the Jews be separated from the cities and towns of our dominions, and that they be given separate quarters, hoping that by such separation, the situation will be remedied. Okay, now when you understand this is the letter that the kings and the queens get from the Pope, the Alhambras, and they put it out there on this level that we got to get these niggas out the city. And so this is when it all started. And it went crazy to remove us. And this goes into what Danyaahla was bringing out earlier about us ruling in Europe. Okay? Yes, King.
The same time period, just so brothers know, the same time period, Ferdinand and Isabella also gave a decree that Prince Philip, King Philip, that was ruling in Portugal, he had to do the same thing.
See that?
He had to do the same thing. So it spread from Spain into Portugal, all over Europe, wherever we was, that same decree went out.
See that? So Tati, yes, sir.
Also, Alhambra come from the Spanish word from Spain, which means red one, from Grenada, Spain.
See that? See? So that we know who he's speaking of, he said the red one. So now when we understand this was a science that they broke it down and how they was going to go after us, man. And start excommunicating us out of cities. Go to the next one, come on. Okay, the description of Jews in England. Wow, see how the Most High work? Danyaahla was bringing it, it's the Most High thing, right? It says, Charles' treatment of Jews in his realm was consistent with the tolerance he expressed in the Declaration of Breda. London Jews, no longer having to disguise themselves or hide their wealth. This was us now. Okay, it says, gather each Sabbath in the rickety first floor synagogue in its Creek Lane. Their place in society was endorsed by John Greenhub, a prominent Christian who, having visited the synagogue in April 1662, observed in a letter of friend. Watch this. When I was in the synagogue, I counted about 100 Jews, all merchants. Not one merchant person of them. Most were rich in apparel, with various jewels glittering. God damn it. So they are the richest jewelers of any. They are generally black and may be distinguished from Spaniards or native Greeks. Come on, man. Come on, man. They are generally black and may be distinguished from Spaniards or native Greeks. Come on, man.
Damn, I didn't even that's
Come on, man. Come on. See that in English, so, and it tell you how, and we had to hide. Why we had to hide? Because those letters that was put forth, like, go after them, man. So, because, you know, when we start rising up, the Vatican start talking. We got to smash these niggas. We got to put these blacks and Hispanics down again. And because why? The decree from back then, but Pope Innocent and all of them said, we don't want them to lift up from that yoke. Okay? Go on the next one. Come on. And this is where you can get that from. Jewish Pirates of the Caribbean. Okay? Now that's a good book because it goes into the Moors, so on and so forth, everything in there. It's a powerful book, man. Alright? And now a lot of people on those shores. Okay, the Spanish go, watch this. The 2nd January of 1492, the Moors town. We're going to move this. We're going to move that. We're going to move that. Come on. Because these are other decrees, and you'll find out. So now let's see what this Dominican friar, okay, the Catholic priest, okay, Bartolomé de la Casa. He wrote extensively of the horrible conditions of the American Indians under Spanish rule, constantly pleading for peaceful and humane relations with them. Ironically, this great and sincere humanitarian convinced that the fast disappearing Arawak Indians could not physically tolerate the hard labor expected by the Spanish, recommended the importation of African slaves to do the hard labor. De la Casa believed that the Africans were constitutionally more fit for hard labor than were the American Indians. Thus, he was importantly though indirectly responsible for the growth of one of the humanity's greatest horrors, black slavery in the New World. Wow. So you see that our brothers, they were connected, but this is labels that they start putting in there later, African, Indian. Yes, brother?
He's the one who brought the Haitians over.
Right. De la Casa is the one that brought the Haitians. Hardcore, hard body. All right, I forgot that tidbit. Go ahead. And you see what they did to the Haitians. That's why they've been oppressed the most, basically, because of course they were the priests of the Heavenly Father, and they went off, and they got to keep them down because they still can obtain that power through the Father. This is why they still do the practice of voodoo. All right, now watch this. If we weren't Jews, okay. Off the coast of West Africa, Port Judah or Fort Judah. Let's see. Here it is right here. Do y'all remember that Portugal flag in the beginning? They went and set it up. Remember that flag we showed earlier? Here's the same flag when they went to set it up. And they go, Fort de El Judah. There it goes right there. Now, why the hell would they have this? Now you say, Mose de Historia de Judah. Judah. It's Judah. Now why the hell would they have a Fort Judah if they wasn't getting Jews? Right. You understand? They could have called it Fort something else. Okay? So here it is right there, and there's the port right there. You can look this up yourself. Go ahead. And that's the very port where they took them through. Okay? Go to the next one. Some say Oda, when translated, means help, because some people will tell you that. The Europeans identified it as Judah. Let's see why. Come on. Here's the map. England, Holland, and Denmark. H. Mo 1729. Use the Dutch term Fida. It translates to Judah. Now here's the maps that they use, man. All right? How about that, Reggie? Huh? Yeah, I'm coming for you, Reggie. Don't escape, Reggie. All right, here we go. So now when you see the Gold Coast, it was called Negro land. But in the Gold Coast and Negro land, why do you have the words Judah? Don't go, come on, man. Yeah, troublemakers. Okay. So when you see, right, what these people did in Denmark, the Dutch, you'll see that they labeled it themselves and they were going after Judah. And this is a map that y'all can pull up and get yourselves because they got different variations of this map. They even updated the map. Okay, and you're going to see the word Judah. This one is hard to decipher because it's over here. Alright? It says Judah, but it's the Negro land map. Go. It's on there though. So the Dutch masters. Now, this is serious though. This is actually not a joke. Now, when you understand this, even in smoking weed, this comes from high up. Again, go back to the Vatican. Remember, they was dealing with tobacco, right? Remember, they was the ones that allowed people to go into chattel slavery, right? So when you understand this, it's a bigger science than people believe, even when you started smoking, man. Okay? Those that who's smoking in there? Oh, those that smoke out there, whatever they smoke, the blunts. Now, the Dutch masters, these were people that rule. Now, why would a nigga smoke some of this? Why would he say, let me roll my weed up in a Dutch master? Everything's a science that the white man does. He shows you the rules and it works on you on ways that you can never even imagine. Okay? Now go to the next one. Watch this. Now niggas want to smoke backwards. But it's not a joke. Because what happens is this. Where do we have to go? We have to go in the backwoods to run from master. You understand? It's a science. It's not a game. So they remember the old Philly blunts? Remember? They used the Philly blunts. Now this city of brotherly love. This is why it was called the Phillies. When you deal with the Phillies, they were certain degrees under Benjamin Franklin, so on and so forth. Okay, who dealt with the almanac. Remember, his greatest thing was dealing with maps. So he understood who people was and where they were coming and where they were going to go. So now here they're going in the tobacco fields, the cotton fields, because this was one of the biggest things, man. And sugar was the #1 thing. The #1 thing. Go to the next one. Here's the map again. Now, remember, that map was in the one before that was written by somebody else, another cartographer. Here's another one. Eamon Bowman. Why are people making these maps? Different cartographers. And what do you call it? Negro land. And in Negro land, you'll see in the same land that you'll see the word Judah. You'll see the word Akuda. Get this yourself so that you can see. And this map was written in 1747. Okay? Go to the next one. Here we go. They're going to show you right here. The Kingdom of Judah, 1747. Y'all see that? That's on the map. And that, by the way, that wasn't a black man. That was a white man. A white cartographer that wrote that map.
And just for the viewers, when you read the Bible dictionary, it'll tell you that Ham is a progenitor of the Africans, but not the Negro. Absolutely. So when they say Negro land, they distinguish Israel. So absolutely. Right.
There you go. See, Israel being the spirit, because you know we got that up there. The Israel being the spirit. I mean, you gotta love Israelites, man. So when you check this zone, It's showing you right here that why would this be on here? Why would a white map maker, and he actually said this to 2 different kings, one of Spain and one of Portugal. Now watch this, man. Right there. Here you go, Jabu. This is all Israel. Wahada. See this right here? Okay, when you look this up, it's talking about Judah. Then they had the king of Judah on this port in Negro land and all these areas. Go to the next one. Come on. Here we go. Wider so you can see. Wahada. Judah. Judah. This is by Edwin Bowman. He wrote that. Now who the hell? How come he didn't write ancient Egyptian? How come he didn't write Shaka Polite? Kevin. How come right? You know why he didn't write that? Because they understood who they were going for, who the Vatican wanted. Go, next one. Here we go again. This is somebody else. Another cartographer. Okay? J. Gibson in 1792. Judah clearly identified. Why is all these cartographers making these maps, man? Because they knew where they had to go and what they had to get. It was more so than the gold, it was the people, man. Come on, go to the next one. Here we go. This is where the Israelites went. Down from Israel, into Egypt, coming to the west, right? In the south, north Caribbean. This was the transatlantic. We came all the way through here. So that goes back to those maps. They knew exactly who the hell they was getting. They was getting them from this region. That's what we traveled through. Okay? Go to the next one. All right, the places slaves were taken from. It'll tell you. In Senegal, this were the areas on the map. So this was that Gold Coast. You'll see all these areas right here. Sierra Leone, right? You got Benin, Blata. See, I mean, y'all go to the next one. The icing on the cake. Let's see. Are you ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Go to the next one. Come on. Now, Emory University. It's a black college, okay? Black researchers, okay? The Methodist Episcopal Church founded Emory College in 1836 in the small Georgia town of Oxford. The founders named the town for the school's prestigious British cousin and named the school for a bishop who dreamed of an American education that molded character as well as the mind. The little school struggled for decades and finally began to prosper in the late 1800s. By 1914, the Methodist Church was looking to create a university in the South, and Emory College was looking to expand. And if you look this up, it's a black college of research. Okay? Now let's see what they got. Come on. Oh my God. These are the slave ships. And here's the names at this college, this black college research. Now notice they ain't Hebrew Israelites now. They just researchers. Let's see the names they got. Yahoo! Oh my God! Wait a minute. Look. In 1825. And they tell you what the ship that they was on. This is their research. Here we go. Right here. Yahweh, Yahweh, Yewa, Farwa. Why did they get that research? Why? Go to the next one. Because they knew where they were going. And those are the same towns. That's why I showed you the maps earlier. When they went in that land. Okay? Here we go. This is another one that's their Emory University as well. Okay? Deuteronomy 28:68. Y'all know what it is, right? Nayah Inya, Yahoo, and Kea. Now look where they came from. You'll see the places. Evo, Abraham, Evo, right? So you'll notice Kenya, Benya. This is Israel all day long. And they tell you what the years was, their arrival. They tell you the ships. And y'all can all go on there yourself. Okay? Go on slavevoyages.com. Okay? And slavevoyages.org, I'm sorry, and then African/origins, and type in any name. Matter of fact, you can also type in, now just to show you, now we're going to show you something, because most niggas will tell you this, and Reggie, because they'll tell you this was the Jews, and the Jews named them. Now, we know that that's dumb and ridiculous, because the so-called Jew today, they don't use the Most High's name. Right. That's right. That's right. They say it's their Nephilim name, so they'll say Shem, or they'll leave spaces. So when we understand that, we know that they didn't name them this. And they will beat the name out of you when you came over here. Right. Correct? Right. So now when you understand this, y'all can look this up on your own. Type in the word Allah. Type in the word Elah, and you'll see that that's there. Now we know goddamn well, ain't no white man named no damn slave Allah. Right. You understand? Right. Type it in yourself and you'll see that, wait a minute, there's something going on strong here. Now go to the next one. Here we go again. There we go again. You know, the women was naming themselves that. That's in 1825. Go to the next one. And here we go, Emory University, so y'all can see that. There is no way in hell fake Jews could have given us these names. There is ample evidence that American Jews participated in perpetuating the slave system. Now, we're talking about the so-called Jew. Because everybody will tell you, he had the ships, and he came over here, he put them on the ships and all the... Okay, we know that. But let's get to the meat, okay? It says, in his study, this man Johnson, he did a study, he's a so-called Jewish historian, Bertman Cohen, you have to look him up, was able to document only 5 instances of Jewish cohabitation with black females. Talk about the so-called white man that calls himself a Jew sleeping with our women. And he noted that in all instances, the relationship was with a free black woman. Okay, in the account. Let's get to the meat, man. The appearance of free blacks or slaves in Jewish synagogues. And now, why are we going here? Because when you see those names on the slave ships, ain't no white man named them that was a Jew. And we're going to prove it here. It says slave ships and synagogues in the South was bound to be a rare occurrence since most synagogues had rules that precluded them from membership. From this, Cohen concluded that it provided evidence that Jewish slave owners in the United States did not proselytize amongst their slaves or offer them instruction in Judaism. Don't let nobody tell you that they taught us this, man.
That's right.
Don't let them tell you this. Now they went in research. Now let's see his own quote. He says this: "It would seem to negate the contention that present-day Negroes who regard themselves as Jews and descended from slave owners of Jewish matters." This guy said that's ridiculous. You can't say that these people that called themselves Jews was taught by the white man. Why? Because they wasn't even allowed to go in synagogues as slaves. So don't let nobody tell you that, because that didn't happen. Go to the next one. Okay, Yahweh, and Ahaya is also one of the names that the Heavenly Father used as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, go ahead, go. Okay, now see, crackers tell you again. Now remember, the Zondervans, they were atheists. Right. This is factual. They were just researchers. Now, atheists don't give a damn about none of this. So let's see what the atheists said. Go. The identity. Here we go. Ham, Zondervan. Okay, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood. And one of the 8 persons to live through the flood, he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. Why is this purposeful? Because you understand that when you go way back, they knew who they was getting out of the interiors of Africa. They knew in the Negro lands, they wasn't grabbing. You got a question, bro?
Yeah. When you mentioned that they got with Hebrew women, that's the reason they go through the mother, not the father.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why the white man does that. And because you sleep with our women and you say, look, I'm a Jew. Because of the mother. Which is ridiculous. Alright? So now, when you go into the Negro dictionary, let's see the word in Negro dictionary. Watch this. It says what? Noun, plural, anthropology, no longer in technical use. A member of the peoples traditionally classified as the Negro race, especially those who originate in sub-Saharan Africa. Uh-oh. That's us. So it's telling you who they use that word for. That's why you go to map Negro land. It says older use, often offensive, a black person, adjective, anthropology, no longer technical use, relating to a characteristic of one traditional, so on and so forth. But keep in mind this right here. Okay, when you look that up, they tell you who that word was really for.
And you go back to the whole structure that you're breaking down too.
Right, it goes right back to it. They know. So all this breaks down to a science. It's not sloppy. They want to say, let's just go get the gold, grab the people, make them slaves. Hell no. They knew who they wanted. Keep going. Encyclopedia, the term Negro derived from the Spanish, as we know, and Latin words meaning black, Negro, Niger, may be applied to a large portion of mankind, but it is more strictly confined to certain peoples and tribes of Central Africa. Remember we went to interior, Negro land? Where's that? Central Africa. They tell you, who said this? A goddamn Catholic Church. So that's when you see the Zondervan when it says not the Negroes, they know who the Negro is. But Negroes don't know who they are. Come on, man. Okay, so now it says what? It says it is more strictly confined to certain peoples and tribes of Central Africa, ended descendants in various parts of the world. Okay, go on, next one, come on, man. Acts 13. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers as Barnabas and Simon that was called Niger. Come on, man. They know. They know. Go ahead, next one, man. Come on. Here we go. Negro. We know what happened. We know who instituted. Why? So now you get to understand it wasn't necessarily a thing that you would think of race. It had everything to do with who you were as a people. When I say you as a people, a nation of people, not a regular people, the nation of Israel. Okay, so now when you see Negroes, you get to understand why they stripped the names off. They just threw that label on there. They said we got to confuse them all the way down to the last compound. So now we call ourselves everything else but who we are as Israelites. So that's the purpose of it when you start understanding and going back where it came from. Go to the next one, come on. Next one. Next one. Okay? Just Ebos.
Polite again?
Polite again. You know, I'll be polite. On polite tonight, leave him alone. Next one. Next one. Come on. Next one. I'm coming for you though. Alright. Hebrews amongst the Ebo. Now you're going to see what they did and how they wrote this down. Okay? It says on the floor, directly opposite the ancient stool of Ezeiri of Agule made of mud. One can notice strokes of ancient writing traced into permanence on the floor with white cowries and used in Nigeria before the coming of the white man, reminiscent of the Nisbi writing of the ancient Ebos in Arochuko. One thing is clear, namely that this is Hebrew writing. The ancient Ebo Eries who wrote this before the coming of the white man must have come from other place, no other place than Israel. So in other words, don't let them tell you, well, because you'll hear the white man taught the Ebos when they came over there. No, that writing was there before the white man even went over there. You see that? So this is the writing right here. Okay? So this writing you see is over here in the red. Go. Come on. Ebos, Hebrew exiles. Go. We know that. Come on. Uh-oh. Here we go. It's a perennial. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Let everybody watch you know, the shows they got to watch. Oh man. Keep going. Keep going. We're gonna close out. Here's what we're gonna close out on. Go to the next one. Just to get to the point so we can enjoy what is it again? African, what is it? Yeah, I know. All right, the progenitors of the Black Power movement. A lot of people get mad at this. Okay, y'all can get this book, because this book will tell you about this. A lot of people get mad when we say this. A lot of people. But this is not we're making up. If you read the history about what happened, these people will tell you that we were progenitors of the Black Power movement. This is factual. Now, this was a researcher that couldn't understand why was so many black and Hispanics calling themselves Israelites. And they couldn't understand it. So what they had to study it. It's Chicago University, by the way. And his name is Landon. When he did the study, he said, wait a minute, this is impossible, but there's a lot of proof behind it. And he went through all of the history of Israelites coming from the land of Israel all the way here in the Americas and how we set things up. And then they found out that we were one of the ones to start Black Power. Now let's see. Once black Jews had established the basis for their legitimacy, some historic link with the ancient Israelites or the black Jews of Ethiopia, and had found their future hopes to be realized in the millennial eschatology, other themes within the movement began to emerge. Black pride, black solidarity, black business, and in some cases black power, black separateness, and black supremacy all sprung up within various black Jewish groups and were expressed in different ways. This form of cultural black nationalism, one which is expressed in a divine identity, a newfound sense of purpose, and a belief that one's own destiny lies within the bounds of one's historical struggle, has proved to be much more important in American history than the number of black Jewish participants that laid its foundation. They tell you how important this is, because he knew the ties going back to the Catholic Church. So it blew his mind. He said, man, it's more important even than the members. The world need to know. That's what he's trying to put out there. As will be pointed out later, in this work, the rhetoric and practices of the early black Jews became an emulated model that gave rise to various forms of black Islam, especially the Moorish divine movement of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and the creation of the Nation of Islam, the black Muslims, by Elijah Muhammad. Now, this was research. This has nothing to do, this is what a man researched from Chicago University. These movements were clearly patterned on the thought process and practices developed by early black Jews. Even later, the rhetoric of many black nationalists in the United States during the Civil Rights era. A veritable flowering of black nationalism had little of originality not already stated and put into practice by early black Jewish leaders. Okay? Given link between black expression in black nationalism, it is not surprising that there was a great resurgence in the black community of black Judaism, and the movement spread enormously during the civil rights era. Within the historical context, as the leader in the development of organized cultural black nationalism, black Judaism should be viewed as one of the most important social movements in African American history, and as a result, one of the more important social movements in American history, man.
That's right. That's right.
That's what they say. And the book is by a man, Landing, by Chicago University Press. It's called Judaism. Where's that book? Got it over here? Y'all got it? Y'all got it? Nah, right? All right, so it's by Landing. I'll text brothers, give y'all the number, a book and everything. Yes, brother.
I was saying too, a lot of people understand, like a lot of the Hebrew Israelites is bigger than here in Chicago.
Absolutely.
A lot of the Hebrew Israelites out there, like Martin Luther King, all them dudes, they came from us. A lot of people don't want to accept that. You got history telling you that this is where these people came from.
Absolutely.
They just broke off and did their own thing, this Africanism and all that other crap. They didn't believe in that.
Absolutely. And a lot of people take fault with that and get upset at that, but that is the actual truth. You know, when you go back into Marcus Garvey's movement, you see Hebrew Israelites there. Noble Drew Ali's Hebrew Israelites there. Any movement, you'll see that. So, you know, it's not a bragging thing, it's just what it is. Why? Because our culture from what we took had nothing to do with separating us from those movements itself. But it was Hebrew Israelites saying, yo, let's stand. And so these movements came about from that pattern. You see? So this is actual research that they did. And that's also, give me the final call. And go to the next slide when you do that. Go to the next slide. Now y'all remember this? Because we have a brother, an esteemed scholar by the name of Reggie. And he said that if you go to these books, right, that Farrakhan did, you know, the relationship between blacks and Jews. Remember, when they speak about these books and the Jews' relationship with our people, it goes, what? It doesn't go before that chattel slavery. You understand? It's a difference. Because this deals after chattel slavery. It's two different things. So when you deal with that, you go, you know, and you have a tune to it. But let's see what Farrakhan said out of his own mouth. Go to the next slide at the same time while I'm looking for this.
First page.
Huh?
First page, yeah.
You sure?
Come.
All right. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so let's see what Farrakhan said. He said he exposed the truth. He said blacks are true. He said blacks are the true children of Israel. It's out of his mouth. This is a quote.
First thing he said.
Okay, he said we are the choice of God. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the Almighty God Allah revealed to him that the black people of America are the real children of Israel, and we are the choice of God that came unto us. That's his own quote. That's his own quote. That's his own quote. That's his own quote. Now we're going to close out the answer the question session. Keep going to the pictures. Any questions? No, I know you. Yes, brother.
So the cards are, they adopted the racism, the prejudice we were experiencing in Europe, and said that was us, that was them.
That's right.
But those writings shows that it was talking about slavery.
That's right.
And there's no history to the cards that were in slavery in Europe at all.
Right.
So
that's
that's probably
right. That's right. None whatsoever. And so we just be proud of being an Israelite. It's a tough journey, a tough walk. The Most High made it that way, and it is what it is. Yes, brother.
I got a question. Just basically, as the Hebrew Israelite community, what would be the solution to the problems that we have in the community as blacks and Hispanics? What would be the foundation and the outline that we should follow to actually save our people in the community from all this gang banging and violence and everything? What would be the outline and solution to our problem dealing with that in our community?
That's a powerful question. Get a brother a hand for that question.
That's right.
And what we fail to realize is right there. It said come back to his laws, statutes, and commandments. And we look at the time, going to the time of the Maccabees, remember, they woke up and said, yo, let's go back to our law, man. And they went and gathered everybody around and wanted to get back to that, and they was able to rise up from their condition and go ahead and get the temple rebuilt and everything else. So that's the vibration that we got to come back under. These laws will save us. It's real easy. It's easy. Love your brothers, you love yourself. Gang violence will end in a minute. Because brother won't sleep with another man's wife, this, that, and the other. We respect. I mean, it's actual simple math. It's not complicated. And thank the Most High that we're the ones with a codified law in order to see, okay, this is how you act, this is what you do. I don't care where you go. Place in camp, I don't see a codified law. I respect the pyramids. That's a nice building. You know, all that, the gold. But other than that, it's not, it's, you know, certain things not good to grab from in other places. So that's a beautiful question. To answer that, come back into the Lord's statutes and commandments. The Most High does. He said, what is the duty of man, you know? All right? Fear God and keep his commandments. This is the duty of man. And that's how we go. Next question? All right, let's go home. Yes, brother.
I have a question. I just want to say thank you to Brother Danyaahla, and thank you to you. I'm going to be rebroadcasting this on my website. It's called Ready for R. I go by R. And I'm also trying to get my brother Troy over here on Ready for R. He's doing this thing. And thank you just for having me. And clap to you guys because it was snowing today. It's hella late. You guys came out and you showed support. And personally, I've never really seen other factions really support the way you guys support. Even myself, I get a ton of support from you Israelites. Just thank you. You ready for all, brother?
I'm thinking about it, man. Hopefully in the future, sooner than later we could build, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And, you know, collaborate and do what we got to do to uplift our people, you know what I'm saying?
Most definitely. Behind the scenes or on the scenes is all good.
Man.
Yes, sir.